That hurt.
I'm tuned in like crazy, and I'm pretending like I know what they're doing, and I'm,
Be articulate and intelligent.
Greg's a bitch. That's all.
I find them offensive as hell.
I've never been a fan.
Yeah, fuck that.
Ooh, terrible! Bad, not bad! Oh, pretty good. Okay, decent, fair, great, I love this! Go
This sucks.
Yeah, you really gotta wonder how the stuff gets made.
Welcome to the Straight Red Card. I'm Derek. That's Brett, or the Brett. I'm back from my short shadow ban on X. Really wasn't a ban after all, Brett. Just turns out when I plugged my mic in, as well as everything else that needs to go into the USB for us to do the show, my computer basically said, all the updates that we were doing aren't finished. You need to shut down your computer. So something about the updates totally fucked up my computer because headphones wouldn't work, mic wouldn't work. Yeah, it's ridiculous. So as soon as I restarted the computer, everything works. So Soccer Talk starting at 1 hour and 15 minutes. We usually don't wait that long, Feral Among Us. It's
like an hour and 5 minutes.
It's more like 15 minutes. By the way, I did see on YouTube that TT Boy, I don't know if you remember him. He was a porn star back in the 90s. He might still be one. I don't know.
I remember seeing the guy names.
He has his own show and podcast on YouTube. And guess who he interviewed? Our benefactor, Peter A. North.
Sir Peter North?
Sir Peter North.
As they refer to him in the Great North?
In Canada.
Yeah.
Right. Did you know he had never seen a porn movie in his life until he moved to the United States? That's what he said. He never rewatched his films to see if he could do something better? No, he wasn't in any films. And then he moved to California when he was in his late teens, early 20s. And that's the first time he was exposed to porn. So anyhow, interesting. It was really funny. TT Boy's not a really smart guy. So he ends up sounding a lot like an SNL skit. He's like, so he starts listing out all the porn stars. So he's like, hey, you remember Ginger Lynn? How was she?
He's Chris Farley's character?
Yeah. And then was she cool? Was
yeah.
she good? And he's like, yeah, she was really good. That's cool. And he's like, hey, you remember Candy Evans? Did you do her? Yeah, I did. Was she good? Yeah. That's cool. And they just go through a whole list of them all over, and that's all the conversation was. It wasn't like in depth. Like
we need to make sure we need to pull that up and
I know
do an EFAP with that.
I mean, that more in depth
EFAP, guys. Every frame of pause, not the fapping you're referring to.
The most in depth he gets was she was good, wasn't she? Oh yeah, that's cool. I mean, it's really ridiculous. I think he does ask on occasion, was she nice? And I don't know if she means nice in bed or a nice personality or whatever, but he'd just say, yeah, she was nice. That's cool. It's so cool, dude. Anyhow.
I don't believe that's a real Peter North because he didn't add in one hoser or a.
No.
There's no boots.
He's a fairly quiet, humble dude, believe it or not, with just a very large member. All right, the turn of the background says, welcome to the Straight Red Card. Nobody has been blackballed. That's big news. I can say that someone has been blue-balled. My wife gave me a lap dance and started blowing me, but stopped to take a shit. That's gross, dude. Well, I guess.
How inconsiderate of her.
Yeah.
Should have continued.
You could have followed her in and while she was taking it.
Not yet.
Yeah. Stay attached to her while she went to the bathroom. Yeah. I mean, that gets into some.
Well, I mean, you know what a blumpkin is, right?
I've heard of that before.
It's where you're getting a blowjob while you're taking a shit.
Oh, yeah. So it's just an opposite.
Tom, a second too late on that one.
So yeah, it's just kind of the other way around, and instead of you shitting, she's shitting while you're standing.
Yeah,
right.
I have to come up with a name for that.
What's the opposite of a blumpkin? A clumpkin? Something like that?
I don't
All
know
right.
where they came up with Blumpkin. So
I don't know. People just make up words like donkey punch. You know.
I mean,
All right.
even having you punched a donkey.
I don't know where that one came from, but hey, I did watch The $1 Billion Goal by Grant Wall yesterday.
Okay.
Kind of fun to watch. Go back in that history because I was alive for all of it. Most people here aren't or haven't or weren't. So I remember all those games, and I remember the ones that were first on TV. I remember following Ricky Davis when he was in the Cosmos, sort of like the first best, really acknowledged great American player or good American player. I mean, even Ricky, the show says, yeah, I mean, these guys today they're fucking light years beyond us. So, but worth a watch. The late Grant Wall, R.I.P. Okay, what else I didn't really have. That's pretty much all the interactions between now and me getting banned on briefly on X that I got.
There's a difference between saying I got banned from X
and
maybe having a shadow ban of some form. Some of Derek's tweets were becoming quote unquote unavailable.
Yeah,
and I just assumed that he was getting so much heat from the anti-stepsister crowd that he had to protect his tweets.
And when you posted that, guess what? I didn't find it funny because I was pissed. I'm like, why the fuck am I banned? What did I do? And then I went back and looked at some of my last posts, and I noticed I in one of them I referred to Gregg as Gregg, the African dog, Berhalter. And I thought maybe that's what I got hit for because I used the name. But I'm like, that's not really that's not a thing. Why would I get banned for that? And then I was thinking about some of my other posts lately where, I actually added the organizations that nominated both Berhalter and Gareth Southgate. And I basically called them a bunch of morons. And I'm thinking, well, I guess they could turn me in for that, Bandit, a Klagenfurt when you're banging a chick missionary style and somehow manages to sneak her big toe up your bum. But how does that involve Sebastian Soto? I think he's got to be involved in some way in a Klagenfurt. But I like it, Bandit. I like the effort. I did get this new commercial that pops up when I'm watching the X Hamsters. And it pops up before, the videos play. And it says, old, and I quote, old, young, shaved, hairy, pussy, all pussy is better than no pussy at all. I'm like, what? Okay, I guess. I'm not sure that's true. I'm not sure that's accurate.
I imagine those commercials have to be some kind of correlation to what you're actually watching. Because I can't, for some odd reason, the ones I keep getting are always like, old people need fucking too.
No, I get those too. Yeah, I get those. And then
find old people who just want to fuck near you.
This is not a request. If you don't reply to this, whatever, then your account will be suspended. I'm like, what? Give me a fucking break. Now, this whole thing that old, young, shaved, hairy pussy, all pussy's better than no pussy thing. I don't know what people think, or what this is a woman saying this. That's not true. All right. I'd rather have no pussy than say work as a gynecologist and have to look at bad pussy all day, or stinky pussy, or infected pussy, or whatever. So I don't think that's true. I don't think you can say that. And you've already lost me then with your ad, because I'm like, you're just wrong. That's absolutely untrue. It's like the ads I got on my phone where I got that chick who sent me the thing that said, you want to come over and eat my pussy all night long? I'm like, of course not. Why would I want to? That sounds like a lot of fucking work. Now, the other way around, we could have a conversation. But anyhow, they're just not very good at ads in porn. They're just not very good at it.
Well, are you saying the phrase "the older the berry, the sweeter the juice" is false?
I certainly am not one to say that. Absolutely not. I do not believe that is true. and it sounds gross, and I do not watch grandma porn or whatever that old people porn stuff is. Department of Relationship Propaganda. Brett, your wife lets you watch porn? She must be super chill. Lucky man. It's not really, as long as it doesn't get in the way of the relationship, right?
Yeah.
Or make you have unrealistic expectations about whatever gymnastics can be done in the bedroom, because some of that shit's ridiculous.
I watched this one video. You get to hike your leg up like this, and
I mean, if you're into that
next thing you know, we're in the ER.
I mean, yeah, your search engine's full of flexible women. Yeah. Not all women can be that flexible. So, by the way, also
Practice
watch
makes perfect.
Yes, I guess, but I mean, yoga could help. I also watched the GoPro footage of fighting in Ukraine, and these were American volunteers. My first thought was, holy fuck. These are Americans, and they're got the GoPro, and they're like in the middle of this fucking battlefield, and it's just chaotic as fuck. And you're like, why would you sign up for that? Why would you sign up for that on purpose?
They go over there like, oh, this is nothing. I live in Southside Chicago.
Well, and I would hope they're mercenaries, right? They're getting paid a nice hefty fee for this.
Just what'd you do this weekend? I flew to Ukraine.
I mean, they are
got a couple Russians, came back.
They are technically mercenaries, but are they, if they're not like mercenaries, as in like this is a battalion of Americans led by an American commander. I don't think that's how it is. I think they end up having to fight in units with Ukrainians, and that you just gotta either be nuts, or maybe you're a soldier that never got over being a soldier, and so you just got to keep doing it, and you can't stop yourself. That's
good at only one thing.
That's adventure to you. You were built to kill, or whatever. I guess. I don't know. Other people might just see it as a fucking adventure, which is crazy. I can think of all kinds of adventures that you could take that doesn't require you to risk your life. But okay. Anyhow, that's some crazy footage. That's the first time I've seen it and checked it out.
That was a Riggs quote after he was talking about if this is from Lethal Weapon. Murtaugh asked him, was like, if you can go a whole day without killing anybody, then then we'll start talking about whatever, being friends. And he's like, I've only ever been good at one thing.
Killing people or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's
shooting, I think, is a big thing right there. But
what's that? Officer and a gentleman. Why don't you get the fuck out of here? I've got nowhere else to go. Yeah, that.
Yep.
All right. So that's that. That's all the horse shit I have. Let's get into the show, I guess.
Actual topics. 13 minutes in.
Yeah, let's do it, because
sorry, Farrell, we got there a little sooner than earlier than predicted.
Feral Among Us. It was funny. I think Pete just figured out Feral Among Us, his name. Pete also had Tab Ramos on, and if you haven't seen it, it's worth seeing. Feral Among Us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was Pete saying?
Pete just thought it was his name.
His name was Feral Among Us?
Yeah. Until
welcome to the internet.
Well, that's why Pete's the most gullible of all of them, right? Well, between him and Tact, you're more likely to get Pete on one of those, slip one of those through. But you know what? He takes it well, and he laughs. And I think he realizes that's part of the game now, right?
Yep.
All right.
He's
he's
the one that everybody goes for. And guys, if you do get him, tag us and timestamp it, man.
I love it.
We'll absolutely laugh.
I love it when he's like, "Come on, D. There's no way I'm saying your name." The guy's name's D's nuts.
Pete says that, or Tex says it?
Pete.
I know Tex says
Tack says it. Yeah, Tack definitely.
So Pete's actually catching them now?
Well, D's nuts. Yeah, I mean, how hard is that? I mean, that one's an easy one.
Talk to Mr. Snyder. He's got a D name.
But anyhow, he had Tab Ramos on.
Yeah.
I watched the part 2 today at some point. Not much of a revelation there with Tab Ramos, except for he sort of reiterated, as did Jesse Marsh, that we don't have a signature win. And I think the closest thing we have to a signature win is our drubbing of Mexico in Nations League. under BJ Callahan, that looked like a team totally outplaying their opponent on a massive scale, a grand scale, on like a wow scale. After that game ended, I just went, wow, we kicked their ass. I guess England, but then he also said what I said on the show, it's not all Gregg's fault that we didn't play a lot of good teams because of the way Nations League is set up. So we end up playing a bunch of CONCACAF teams. But you know what? If you only have to play CONCACAF teams, maybe you should just dominate the fuck out of them. How about that?
It could be an idea. But I wonder if you're going to be like, 3 or 4 years down the road, whenever Berhalter starts his third cycle, are we going to go back and look at the games and say, "Whoa, Jesus, he beat Ghana 5-0. That's pretty fucking cool."
Not your grandma's Ghana.
Again, though, I mean, how long does it take for you to forget exactly who they brought and how bad they were? Then you're not just looking at the scoreboard.
They look like they didn't care.
It was pretty bad. We get a couple goals up on them, they're just like, "Man, whatevs."
Fuck it. And then we got beat by Germany in the second half pretty badly. And then look, even Mexico competed better against Germany than we did.
We had like 20 bad minutes. And then the rest of the second half was meh. We had a really good first half.
Yes.
Followed by a second half, then meh, end of it.
Right. As soon as Reyna came out, they gave us zero respect in the midfield. Absolutely zero.
Mm-hmm.
Larry for $2. Ramos quote on Raf sums up fanboy culture. Rafa Benitez? Which Raf?
You watch the show. You must have mentioned.
I don't remember that. Rafina? Which, I mean, let us know, Larry. I'm not sure. I don't remember that part. Oh, that's in part 1. Where I think he calls him, don't get me wrong, he's a really good manager or something like that.
Yeah.
He was one of the youth coaches. And I don't know Wiki.
Wiki. Name. Chicago coach, you mean?
Yeah, he's bad.
He's not great, no.
He's quite poor. He's been poor pretty much wherever he's gone. So,
except for the youth level.
He has old connections with LA and Gregg. I know he has connections with Gregg, so that probably helped him too. But he's not a really good coach. But beggars can't be choosers, and when at the time you're requiring everybody to move to Chicago to freeze their balls off for no particular reason at all, especially when Ernie doesn't live there. So Ernie's going to require all the coaches to live there, but Ernie doesn't want to live there, so he's not going to live there. Well, what kind of
Wiki didn't have to move far, man?
Kind of leadership is that, Brett? Okay. Everybody has to do this, but me. Suck my balls. That's basically what Ernie said.
Yeah,
move to Chicago or else.
He's got a little sway. He can do that shit.
Yeah,
who's going to tell him otherwise?
That's poor leadership.
Bunch of pencil pushers, accountants with pocket protectors.
Well, they're all there already, right? But it doesn't make any sense. There are no facilities there for the U.S. men's national team. So
man, this would have been a great lead. I had an article pulled up where Cone was talking about their new setup in Georgia.
Cone?
Cindy Parlow?
Yep.
Yeah. But I got rid of it because I figured we had enough to talk about today, and I can pull it up anytime. It's not,
okay.
It's evergreen. We can talk about that stuff anytime.
Anytime we want. Hey, you remember Candy Evans, Brett?
Yeah.
Was she good?
Oh, yeah.
That's cool. All right. What else we got?
Let's branch on to the topics. Now we wasted another 6 minutes. That was awesome.
I didn't know who Candy Evans was. I don't remember her being a big thing in the 80s and 90s. I just don't. I remember Ginger Lynn, but I did not remember Candy Evans. That one.
She had 2 big things, right?
I don't know how big they were because I didn't look her up. But maybe if I saw her, I'd remember.
Problem is, I feel like if you look her up now, you'll probably just get a bunch of photos of her, what she looks like now. That's not going to help you.
No, that's MILF porn now. All right. Larry, Ramos said USA should only hire USA players to manage. No, he said, Larry, that was his plan. He didn't say that that's all he would accept. He's perfectly fine with the people they've hired ever. But yes, that was in fact Tab's plan when he was running it. He wanted to only hire ex-players and U.S. men's national team players so they could be an inspiration for the youth. Yeah, I mean, you could take that with. I mean, I don't agree with that. I think you're a good coach. You're a good coach.
I mean, and the problem there is that you're just because you were a player doesn't mean you're going to be a good coach.
Right. Look at Brian McBride. Is he a good coach? I don't think so.
Or not. Maybe you don't even want to be a coach. Period. I mean, hell, look at Dempsey. He's he retired. He went straight onto the camera. He's like, hey, look at me.
Mm-hmm. I don't know how much interest he has in coaching, but not all players have an interest in coaching. Mm-hmm. Like, Tab being one of them, but I mean, there are not a whole lot of others from his generation even that hit me right away. And I think, oh yeah, that whole time. I know Dooley did. Thomas Dooley coached after, but yeah, from that generation, not everybody wanted to be a coach. So that's
they've may have branched off to do their own thing, the youth level in a state. What's his face? The one guy that we had on our show from Minnesota.
Oh yeah.
I can't think of his name right now.
Former defender, right back.
Yeah.
Tony, not Miola. Although Miola was on our show too back then.
Start with an S. Right?
Yes, he played right back in the World Cup. Tony Sana.
Thank you.
Nailed it. So yeah, Tony was he got all up into that, and I think Tony would probably argue he wasn't given enough opportunities. And he didn't say that.
Where are you at there, Tab?
Yeah, and I think he probably would say he's rather disappointed with the opportunities afforded to him by U.S. Soccer.
So, yeah, he's doing his shtick there, but he's doing some good stuff with youth. So,
I mean, he wouldn't say that publicly, but I think looking at his career and all the work he's done in youth soccer up north, you think he would have got more opportunities because he was a big part of that run in 2002. Mm-hmm. Good guy. Was nice having. I think he was one of the first major former U.S. national team players we had on the show up to that time. I think we might have had John O'Brien first. I'm not sure. Or was it? Oh God,
Agus?
The hyphenated. We had Agus on as well. The hyphenated guy, Joe Max Moore. He might have been first. I don't remember. Yeah, but they were all charming guys, very talkative. Those are still on YouTube somewhere. You can find them. You won't hear any cursing. The show's a little more standardized. It's I sound a lot smarter than I do now. All right. Let's see. What do we got here?
It might be interesting to go back, reach back out to them and see if they want to do a recorded show once just to recap where they're at, what they're doing.
I was talking to Tack about this a long time ago, and he's like, yeah, actually the worst shows, the lowest views I get are from my interview shows.
Really are, I know.
Yeah. He says nobody watches them. So, and for us back then, that was kind of the same case. Like our World Cup coverage obviously got tons more views than our Tony Santa interview or our John O'Brien interview.
You got to remember, this was also the Wild West at the time. There wasn't a whole lot of us doing this at that point, so nobody's going to YouTube to look for this shit. Except for you start seeing some of our content on Big Soccer, and that led people to our page as well. But
I think the only people that started back then around that same time were Jason Davis, because the rest of the shows were TV based, and we had those guys on too. The guys that did the Fox Soccer. No, it's just a soccer.
We had a lot of the Fox Soccer channel.
Yeah, we had a lot of those guys on too back in the day. But yeah, you're right. There wasn't a lot of people doing at the time it was called the vidcast. Wasn't even called a podcast yet. Because they aren't that funny.
that could be a hindrance, quite frankly.
Jason isn't necessarily funny. He's a fairly serious guy, but the other guy, he can be kind of goofy. Can't remember his name.
Well, I think he's referring to our previous our interviews with former players and stuff like that.
Oh no, those are not funny.
That's why Tack's also like my lowest views, and he's like, it's because they're not funny, and that's the big problem because you have people coming on, they have some prestige behind them. They played for the national team. They have a great storied career, And then they're coming on here and we're talking about Peter North for 15 minutes.
Well, we didn't do that back then.
No, of course not.
Yeah, but
Back then
now,
we gave a fuck.
now if you come on, you kind of have to learn to deal with that because that's part of the show. Let's see. What do we got here? These are Mexican Americans, all of them. And it says, I think we have to come to the realization, the U.S. men's national team fans, that with such a competitive pool, it's likely Luna, Yogo, Ledesma, and Obed are all going to get a quicker path to the senior team minutes in a worse L3 pool. It's the price we have to pay for pool improvement. I don't see that being the case. I really don't. I don't think that. I think Luna, all these kids got something to prove still. All right.
Well, I could see one player standing no chance of moving forward. That's Ledesma. And
yeah, he's done.
He had ample opportunity. It's just he spent 3 years of his career injured. I don't see him bouncing back.
He did not come back looking like the same player at all.
Well, I don't think he bounced back to the point where even L3 would come after him.
No, they're not going to be interested in him either.
Oh.
And I don't know if the Mexican national team is that interested in any of these players except for probably Jogo. Yeah. I'm sure they know who Luna is. I'm sure they respect his game, but I don't think they're going to be going after him unless he goes to Europe and starts killing it, right?
Well, no, and here's the other thing though. It's not like we have a plethora of Luna type players.
We don't.
We had going back. We talked about the Germany game just a second ago. We pull Reyna out at halftime. Tillman was injured that window. We had nobody to fill in that offensive minded role. And I'm not saying that he probably. We talked about at the time that he could have been a possibility to be called in, but I think Tillman came up lame just before the window itself. And Berhalter didn't make an adjustment.
He didn't.
Okay, we're gonna bring in this player instead.
Yeah,
he's like, I like the guys we have. That's fine. Whatever. That's his choice. I think Luna will get opportunities. He's worked his way up through his youth.
As will Obed.
Jogo's got all these players have had opportunities.
Right. And I don't think that the Mexican national team, as poor as it is compared to its other generations before it, is poor enough at this point that any of these players outside of Jogo are on their desperate list. So I don't think they're looking for a center attacking midfielder. I don't think they're looking for an Obed. Is another center attacking sort of midfielder, right? I don't think they're looking for those kind of players.
And I think hell, we're looking at the United States national team and everything like that. We're looking at left back. We literally just got.
That's true.
We don't have that much depth at left back.
Yeah,
and I mean, I know when Jedi's healthy, he'll play all 90 minutes every game, all game. It doesn't matter if there's 7 games in a row. He'll still run it. That's not a problem. But I mean, there was a time where Jedi came up lame. And all of a sudden, we're looking at Lund, and then we're looking at what?
No one.
And we have a 19-year-old kid or whatever that's in Japan that I think it was not Japan. Sorry, no, Germany. I'm mixing up 2 players here now. What's his name? Something Brown, Nathaniel Brown.
Oh, the guy from last show.
Isn't he left back?
Yeah, but it's too early.
No, again, I agree wholeheartedly. I'm just saying we don't have a lot. You don't have a lot of depth there. That's one spot.
Yeah, and if Jogo starts killing it in La Liga, we're going to keep an eye on him. Yes, he will get called up. He will get called up because Lund is playing in Serie B. That's nowhere near La Liga. And
it's interesting because Jogo had turned down a call up with the U23 camps.
Mm-hmm.
And he had mentioned, he's like, I kind of want to keep options available. I'm not ready to commit. I think that's what he said. I'm not ready.
And he doesn't have to. Yeah, there's no reason to rush it like some of his contemporaries.
All right? We've mentioned that a lot through the years. Yeah, that people make rash decisions based off of instant gratification or maybe snubs that they felt was snubbed.
Right.
And they make a bad decision.
Yeah. Jonathan Gonzalez.
That's always want to go to.
But there have been more recent ones. The LA Galaxy kid. Araujo. Yep, and then there's Araujo.
Well, I mean, Raul's definitely being. He stands the best chance of actually playing for the.
Amazingly, yes, because he's really not that good. But that's how desperate they are for left backs, and so I get that.
David Ochoa.
Oh yeah, that was a stupid mistake. He should have never. Well, he made other dumb mistakes besides that.
Sure,
he's an impulsive person.
It would have been the same scenario with us, regardless. Maybe somebody could have kept him in check here in the United States team or something like that, but.
I doubt it.
Yeah.
That kid.
A simple call from like BJ. Hey, David. We appreciate you're a great keeper, but man, you need to chill out on some of those antics and shenaniganry.
There he goes again with the antics.
Stay with real soul. Like, don't go to Mexico right now. You went to Mexico. Fuck.
You rode the pine. Okay.
Now you're coaching at the age of 23. Oh man, that sucks.
Yeah. I think it's all I'm saying about this tweet is it's too early to put up a tweet like this, and it's definitely past the time to even include Ledesma.
I agree with you on that.
He's done.
What if you substitute Ledesma with Mendez?
Mendez is done too. He's not good enough for either team. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. No. I'm thinking on the top of my head now.
He's a bench player for one of the worst teams or the lower teams in Portugal, which is sad.
There we go. There's a great opportunity. How about Guti? Take Ledesma out and put Guti
in. You could, I guess.
I don't think Guti's expressed any
interest at all.
So I wouldn't necessarily say this is in contention.
I don't think Luna's ever expressed any interest at all.
Yeah,
in playing for the Mexican national team. I don't think Obed has ever expressed any interest for playing for them. I could be wrong. I don't follow the Sounders, but I do think that this is premature. All of it's premature, except for saying Ledesma's out of the picture completely because he's never gotten over those injuries. Those are serious injuries. It's kind of like Pomacall was never the same player after surgeries. Never been the same player, never will be the same player.
Yep.
Can't make sharp cuts anymore. And I don't know if he'll say it like our good buddy did prior to him, but after all those knee injuries, the guy I loved, god damn it. Zalal has said it. He's been interviewed and said, yeah, it affected my whole brain. Dude, I could trust.
Go with somebody who doesn't do as many cuts as these guys, and go with Gooch. Gooch said the exact same thing when he blew his knee out when he was at AC. He's like,
never the same.
I'm back on the pitch, and my knee is stronger than ever, and it's always in the back of my mind.
Yep,
it's always there.
It's going to snap again at any minute. Yep. So they just don't feel as free to play the way they used to. And Pomacall's speed, it's just gone as well. He is. I don't know if he lost flexibility or whatever, but whatever speed he had, it's just not the same. The same thing goes for Ledesma. It's just not the same player when he left for Europe that he is now. He's never fully developed because of all the time he lost. Now, could he be a late bloomer? Is it possible? Everything heals up and miracles happen. They do happen.
Or what if at that point you switch positions and you go from being predominantly for the U.S. has been a winger. You were talking about Ledesma right now, right?
Right.
And you switch back, you pull Beasley. Beasley did it in his tail end of the years, of course. But you switch to a back.
I think speed is more important than for being a back nowadays than anything else. Really,
I don't think speed. I don't know. I guess I don't know what his top speed is and everything like that. I don't think speed's the issue when you have a busted knee. It's more the ability to cut and
go left and right.
Yeah,
right. Go laterally. Right. I agree.
It might be a viable option for him.
I don't think
it's going to happen.
Ledesma was never a super fast guy anyhow, and I think Jedi, 100-yard dash, Jedi's burning him, just burning him on a straight line speed. So, okay, well, it's a nice thought, but I'm glad we at least addressed this issue. I think it's too easy. It's too early for most of what you just said in this tweet. Anonymity anymore. Zero anonymity.
Anonymity.
It's always a tough word.
I always let you do it because I know I would butcher the shit out of that.
Anonymity anymore.
Anonymity.
It could.
I sound drunk when I try to say it. Anonymity.
You could be.
That's my safety blanket right there too. Yeah, I could be. You don't know.
It must be awesome to procreate in that type of house, Brett.
Yeah, all your guys' super chats have gone to a very important place, and that's getting this cabin. Can't wait to enjoy it in the winter. Snow halfway up that window right there.
I haven't ran into you and EB at the porn store lately.
Yeah, I know.
But so I don't know. We're just going at different times, or you guys are fully stocked with everything you need.
Ready for the winter. Yeah.
For the pain room. All right. What do we got next?
What we got next? We got breaking news, Derek. And you know what?
Breaking news.
I'm gonna go ahead and do it. We're going to do your favorite segment of the show, Derek. This is quite transfer news, but it is something close. So we're going to play it anyways.
Okay, let's do it.
3, 2, 1.
Transfer news. Everybody loves that transfer news.
Wow, that was rough. That was rough. It got better at the end.
Again, it's the delay. It was right on the whole time. Yeah, it's unfortunate that it just doesn't let you catch up, if you will. HMS Pistol League SZN fraud detector FT says breaking midfielder Brendan Aronson on loan from Leeds United arrested by German police per source. And then I had a reply. Did you see it?
No, I didn't check it out. You have a reply on that one?
Yeah, I do. Somewhere on there. Jesus, really?
You got a lot of responses here.
I might have replied to somebody specifically, though.
I'm not going to keep looking at
it. I basically said this. I said it was a false arrest. He was arrested for prostitution, not for hiring a prostitute. But once they realized he couldn't score, they let him go.
Free of charge.
He can't score, not even with a prostitute.
I'm pretty sure the prostitute actually paid him.
Yes. Either way, Brendan Aronson can't score. So they just realized that and they let him go. Because, dude,
I don't know. Obviously, I haven't taken a look, and I feel that if that was actually breaking news, that it would be all over the fucking place.
Yeah.
There was definitely talk that he had some warrant out for his arrest because he was a speedster when he was at Leeds, like in his car all over the place. You know.
Yeah, I think the prostitution thing's better. I think it's better. Once they realized that it was Aronson, they let him go, knowing that Aronson even can't score.
They're like prostitute. You need a booster seat in order to see over that wheel. Nah, you weren't doing that, clearly.
There was a German comment about it was in German about Aronson as well, and it basically said, this is a new guy that's never really seen him play. He's a fan of Union Berlin. He's like, I've never seen a player fall down on the ground this much in my life. Is this what he normally is and does? I almost replied, but I said, I'm not going to bother. Yes, that is what he usually is and does.
I think he's improved since he went to Germany, but he's still like 90 pounds wet.
Improved a little, but he still flops around. He doesn't make a difference. And once he gets near the box, in the scoring vicinity of the box, he still trembles like a little child and fucks things up. So he's got no confidence. He's got no confidence. No. Yeah, he's got none.
Could you imagine a person like Brendan going to jail? How quickly he'd be passed around?
Snapped around like a stick. I don't know if that happens in Germany like it does here.
Imagine prison's prison, regardless of where you live.
I don't know. I mean, you're making out like it'd be a Turkish person or something.
It could be, you know.
What's that movie? What's that movie where the guy has the chick? She comes to visit him in prison. She takes off her shirt and smashes her boobs against the glass. He's like, I gotta get out of here. He's touching her boobs through the glass. What is that movie? Midnight Express? Is that it? I think it was. Anyhow,
maybe. Don't know.
Classic. Brendo trying to tank the TT guy was epic. Trying to tank the TT guy.
You embodied the body and Brendan fell over.
Oh, I think we were talking about TT boy earlier, so I was
Oh,
I was a little confused.
Your mind's in the wrong place.
I was like, you mean the porn interviewer guy? All right.
BMR wants to know. BMR wants to know if that movie you're thinking of wasn't in fact a porn.
No, it wasn't a porn. It was a movie. I believe it was called.
Al's got it. It's Polar Express.
No, it isn't. I think it's Midnight Express. Al, double check that. Double check that.
Yeah, it's Polar Express, the animated movie with Tom Hanks.
Oh, no.
Of course, it's that one.
It's Midnight Express. It's about a guy who gets busted with drugs going through Turkey at an airport and ends up in Turkish jail for like a decade. Yeah.
Well, Derek, I got bad news for you. Conrad's going to don the red and blue. I think it is, right? Red and blue of Haiti. Yeah, what? Red and blue. I'm right.
Conrad de la Fuente would have given his agreement to wear the colors of Haiti. He's got no shot with us, so that makes sense. According to the information from SPI, the 22-year-old player already has his Haitian passport, I almost said passport, and is ready to accept a possible call-up with the Grenadiers. FYI, he was born in Miami to Haitian parents, former FC Barcelona player, former, then where'd he go? Marseille, former Olympiacos, former, well, now he's at Ibar, where he's an off-the-bench option for a Segunda team. Conrad is under contract with Marseille, but is playing on loan at SD Ibar in the Spanish Segunda this season. He also played 2 friendly matches with the USA team in 2020. Yeah, again, I don't care, honestly, BMR when he's eligible, because goodbye, buddy. I'm sorry, he's done.
Derek, you'd be surprised how many people are still latching on. Like, oh man,
I'm not surprised.
He was Barcelona. He dressed this many games with them and only played a couple, but he was dressed. How many other Americans have done that?
I don't think people keep track of people. That's their problem. They see that the dude played at Barcelona once and came up through the Barca Academy. By God, do you know how many hundreds of kids have come up through the Barca Academy and are shit or shite or are off the bench players in Poland somewhere?
You were going to bring him up.
Yeah.
I was going to bring him up if you didn't say anything.
So don't.
Well, he never finished his academy stint there because he got forced out.
Oh, I know. It was horrible, his mom said. And now he plays for, I can't remember the name of the team in Poland, but good for him. I'm just saying, just because somebody plays at Barcelona in their youth doesn't mean squad douche. Mm-hmm. This kid, Conrad de la Fuente, is an immature person. Wherever he's gone, his coaches have said nothing but negative things about him and his work ethic and his give a shit level and his arrogance and how good he already seems to think he is. Well, he's not.
Yeah, and that's not to say we're not saying he doesn't have skill.
No, he has some.
He played at Marseille for a solid decent season,
moment.
And then he played for
solid season,
a decent season.
No,
he was there for what, a season and a half roughly.
Dude, he barely played. By the end, he was barely playing.
Yes, I remember by the end. Yeah, that's why they loaned him. They sold his ass.
He wasn't that long, but that wasn't even a year. You can look it up. Wasn't even a year. Yep. They were done with him pretty quick, and they immediately loaned him out to Greece, Olympiacos, I believe it was, and then Olympiacos. In his first few practices, they're like, "What the fuck is wrong with this kid? Bench him, never play him."
Sure.
And he didn't play. And then he went back to Marseille, and Marseille quickly shipped his ass off to Ibar, where he's not a starter. I think he started 1 game so far all season. He's a 10-minute, 20-minute guy at the end of the game. Maybe that will change, but it's not going to change the fact that he's playing in Segunda.
He played 23 matches for Marseille before getting shipped off. And he was only there for 1 season.
Yeah, but most of those were like 5 minutes here, 10 minutes here.
Very true. I mean, he's in that time period, he probably played under 1,000 minutes for the 23 matches he played. He's 1 goal, 3 assists.
So he has some ability, but he's got way too much Freddie Adu in him. Way too much. And that needs to stop. Listen, Julian Green had the same problem, but by the age of 26, Julian Green figured it out. It just took him that long to figure it out. It took him.
He might be coming up on our segment later on today too.
It took the humility of being sent to two Bundesliga team or ending up in a two Bundesliga team, right?
Yeah,
because they were a one Bundesliga team at one point. Where
was Hanover at the time? Isn't he got loaned out to?
He got loaned out to Stuttgart, I believe.
Was it Stuttgart? Oh.
And this is when the Stuttgart coach said, having Green on the field is like playing with 10 players. That's what he said.
So Hanover was Wood, wasn't he? Okay, never mind.
Hanover was Soto.
I thought Hanover. Okay, man, was Wood at Hanover?
Wood was at Hanover too.
Okay,
yep. Mm-hmm. You were right about that, but I
haven't followed Soto's career ever.
But as far as youth players, Soto was at Hanover, right? So anyhow, listen, this is nothing to. I don't think anybody needs to worry about this. And yes, are there people worrying about it? Yes, those are people that have not tracked his career since Barcelona, or at least since Marseille, and haven't read the news and the foreign reports on him and his attitude issues and his problems with coaches and his arrogance.
Well, and to your point, people are holding the academy, the graduating from Barcelona's academy, a little too high here in this situation.
They always do. They did it with everybody. The other kid that went through Barcelona, and it's not like. Do you know how many kids we have had go through the Liverpool Academy?
I can think of at least 2, 3.
And they ended up being nobodies?
Absolutely nobodies.
Pelosi being one of them.
No, I had a lot of hope on that kid.
Injuries for him, mostly.
Mm-hmm.
But there have been others that have been at great academies. It doesn't really mean that much. You can't read into it that much.
Can you really graduate, or do you just sort of leave?
Leave, exactly. You leave. That's absolutely correct.
All right. So, BMR says you graduate to the first team, and people were. I've already got rid of it.
I think he did make the first team.
He made a couple of games, if I recall correctly, and he dressed.
Yeah,
that's about it.
He might have got some minutes. But it was all.
But then he just sort of left.
They had no doubt in letting him go, Barcelona. I was shocked when Marseille bought him. I was shocked because I don't think he proved enough to be bought by a big French team like Marseille. It's a big fucking club in France.
I think they took a chance on him. They saw the raw ability that he had, and again, he has talent. It's just there's attitude, and it's just not enough is the problem, right?
Yeah.
So they saw it, and I guess without looking, I'm guessing they probably got him for relatively cheap.
I don't remember, but
yeah,
I think if you're losing sleep about this, or as some people put it, I was having a good day until I read this news. I think you just haven't been around. You haven't been paying attention. You should have been well prepared for this news. Him going to Haiti was absolutely going to happen because he's not good enough for us. At least he hasn't been for quite some time.
I'm curious, Derek. Let's just say you are dual nat, right?
I am a dual nat.
Yeah, that's what I said. Which you are.
I don't have to pretend.
Let's say instead of Germany and the U.S., it was United States and Haiti, and probably Spain. Right? I feel like he's got to have a Spanish passport.
He might.
So let's just say you aren't good enough for either Spain or the U.S. You're 22. Do you really aim to file that switch and go and play for Haiti?
Yeah.
What does that do for your career?
Well, I mean, you're never going to play in a World Cup, but at least you get to represent your country or your other country.
Or your other country.
Yeah, for him, it's...
And I'm not saying he doesn't have any ties there. By all means, I believe his parents are both Asian.
His parents are Asian.
So he's probably got strong ties there. I'm just saying from a career standpoint, maybe he's looking long-term and saying like, well, I'm guaranteed to do this, but he's got to fly out there, play a bunch of island nations. How much money are you going to actually make? What benefit it's going to do for your actual playing career? Or are you doing it just for the honor of representing one of the nations you love? I guess that might be it.
B. It's B. And that's fine.
No, you mean C.
Or C.
Yeah.
But it must be quite humbling for him to have to consider this because, growing up playing in the U.S. youth programs, he must have thought one day he would play for the U.S. men's national team in a World Cup. And that dream is over in his mind, not ours, not in a lot of it, in my mind for sure, but not everyone's mind. Like, he's 22. If he bucked up, got his shit together, started scoring goals in bunches and went back to Marseille and became a real, effective player in Liga, he'd still have a chance. But the fact is that he's already giving up. Must say something about his own belief in himself, which that's not good because I thought his problem was arrogance. Now, maybe he's eating too much humble soup or humble whatever pie.
Well, it's. I wonder. Again, this is saying that he has Haitian. He's already has his Haitian passport, and he's willing to accept a call. That doesn't necessarily mean that he wants to accept a call, or that he even said that he would accept a call. This could all just be, I don't know, just media bullshit.
Okay, if it's media bullshit, let's move on to the next topic.
I did want to bring up his transfer and talk about the business because you're like, how did he possibly go to Marseille? Well, he went to Marseille for he went to Marseille for €4 million.
It's not a lot of money.
But then they sold him to Olympiacos for €6 million.
I thought it was a loan.
It was a loan. You're right. Yeah. Was it? That's market value. Okay.
Yeah.
Then loan transfer. Marseille sold him for 2.5. 1.5 mil drop. I don't know how much money they got from the loan in that process, but
you can look him up. I doubt he's worth 2.5 anymore.
I was just there, but I didn't look at it. What his current value is? I know it's less.
Probably like 800K. So anyhow, no tears on my end. I wish him the best wherever he goes, and I hope he makes a comeback in his career and pulls his shit together and makes his mark, because all of us at one point had hopes for him. But after a while, after tracking the results, after reading the reports,
BMR just corrected me again here. The loan is for Ibar. Ibar is loaned. You got him on loan from Marseille.
Yeah, he's still at OM.
Marseille. He's still at Marseille. Yeah,
it's just another loan. That's why I said he can go back.
So his market value is 2.5 then.
Still, according to Transfer Market.
Let's go back. Let's just take a look. I don't know if
that really
current
matters.
market value is 1.5. 1.5.
Yeah, that's a big drop. It's almost at 1/4 what he was worth just a couple years ago. BMR knows everything except for books.
Yeah, except for books.
He doesn't know. I don't know books.
This is the book of BMR. All right.
He let us know literature, not his thing, but he does know everything else. He's like a fucking steel trap. And I'm glad we need it on this show. In fact, we should just have him running. We have a little earpiece in our ears. It's just BMR.
Yeah. He's our producer. That's what we need.
And he's like, Brad, I think you meant Marseille.
Brett, you totally fucked up. He's still on loan, and it's 1.5 mil. That's all it is.
And by the way, that loan to Olympiacos, that was for
BTW.
Blah, blah, blah.
Fuck the books. Yep. Fuck the books. Fuck the books.
Hey, we talk about books on the show once in a blue moon.
Once in a blue moon is
books
right.
are great, man. God damn, the American. Well, anyhow, we'll leave the books alone. Sources.
Yeah, I don't want to rant right now.
Yeah, about books. Books are awesome.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
They're great, but I mean, it's the same rant I've had over the time.
So you read different books than I do. You don't. I read history books and I read literature.
that you read history books. Those series are already done. I have 2 series that I'm in the middle of that I'm waiting for a goddamn book.
You might be waiting a while.
10 to 12 years in the making.
Yeah, I know.
What the?
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm done talking about it.
All right. I know. That's why you need to take up history reading. All right. Sources. Yeah. U.S. men's national team center Miles Robinson is visiting SC Cincinnati on the first day of free agency. Why? To team up with Matt Miazga? Really? Robinson, 26, is out of contract with Atlanta. PSV among interested clubs in Europe, but on the first day of FA, he visits Supporters Shield winners. Okay. okay, Tom, that's good info to know, but I don't think that means he's still going to go and talk to PSV. So,
I'm certain he's probably filling all of his interests.
Yeah, he's covering his bases.
No, but here's the thing, though. Let's say PSV comes back. Hey, we're willing to pay you $500,000 a year, and then FC Cincinnati's like, hey, we want to pay you $2 million.
Yeah, then
do you think he's gonna sign for the $2 million? Or do you think he's gonna take his chance in Europe for a significantly pay cut?
I would recommend to him for his U.S. men's national team career, especially if Mr. Nimrod isn't the manager anymore. If he wants to stay in the picture long term, he needs to go to Europe.
Yeah, it's
that simple. If he doesn't,
we were talking about this on Twitter today. Who was it talking about? Diego was talking about, hey, go get your pay. Basically, and it's kind of alluding to the fact that he's probably going to get a big paycheck at Cincy, more so than in Europe, and that he's already slotted in with Berhalter through Copa. And people are like, why is he guaranteed a slot? Why does he do this? I'm like, well, guys, you have to really think about this. Copa is like 2 international windows away for us. That's not including Camp Cupcake. So Berhalter's not going to just rock the boat with the fourth.
No, he's not going to make a massive change. He's not going to bring in Trusty. He's not going to bring in McKenzie unless there's some massive injury issues. Yeah.
So I mean, it's the same kids, and Miles is going to be included in Copa, regardless if he's playing for Cincy or PSV at that point.
I mean, Berhalter thinks that Miles Robinson's too sexy for his pants. So he's going to be called up. He'll be the only MLS player probably called up. There has to at least be one beyond the goalies that he'll call up.
And Tact is assuming that we're bringing in 2 MLS goalkeepers in the Copa, which is possible.
It's possible. Yes. Horvath is down to 4th string.
Horvath's going to be in MLS.
He's going to be in MLS. Steppen's going to be back in MLS.
Gaga might be with the Olympic squad.
Yep.
So you might be looking at 2 MLS keepers.
We're looking at Matt Turner.
Yeah.
He's the only goalkeeper. That's crazy. By the way, I think, did Matt play today? No, that's tomorrow. Matt plays tomorrow. Well, we're assuming Matt has his job back, but not in forced play tomorrow. So
he didn't get blown out 5-0, so there's that.
Yeah. I don't know if that's on Vlad Mikos or whatever the fuck his name is.
Fair enough.
But hey. So, if he does go back to MLS, he's just hurting his own U.S. men's national team career. By the way, if he goes to PSV and kicks ass and is one of the best center backs in the league, if he can prove that and play great, then he's going to have a lot of other opportunities to make a whole lot more money than $2 million from Cincinnati going forward. Of course, he's going to have to go over and prove that, and he can't play like he did this season for Atlanta, which was not very good.
You got to beat me to the punch, because what's going to happen is, say, if he goes to PSV, I mean, we're going to continue the PSV talk because that's been the biggest rumor moving forward here. Let's say he goes to PSV and he flat out balls there, and then all of a sudden you have all the people, all the MLS lifers that'll simply say, like, he was always that good, and you guys just had this ignorant take about MLS. I'm like, I guess it's that one jump to PSV is not going to dramatically change him in the short run. Over the long haul, he might get better and sharper and everything like that. But yeah, he's the same guy he is going to be. He's not going to change that much.
I don't think he could get wiser. I mean, sure. I think some of his rash mistakes usually were mental ones. So those can be fixed with a good coaching and good setup. Going forward when he needs to go backwards, been a problem this season for him in Atlanta. So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, there's no guarantees either way. But I mean, if Cincinnati's got Miazga and Robinson, that's a pretty good MLS center back pairing. Yeah. I'll say that. And together they should be able to play pretty goddamn well together. But I think they'll both find themselves not being invited to the U.S. men's national team unless they're massive injuries somewhere.
Well, we can assume one, maybe not necessarily the other. But
Because we got Ream locked in, except is he? I don't know.
We'll get to that in a second.
Richards, CCV, Trusty's available, McKenzie's available. That's 5 guys playing in Europe. Although I have to say, playing at Yanks not that impressive to me personally. And McKenzie is not like dominating like they did last. Yanks not dominating like they did last season. So I don't know. He did win today.
We have this same debate, this topic every time we talk about players who are not in the top 5.
Yeah,
whether it's like over in Holland or in Belgium and stuff like that. And where I was like, is it really that much better than this? The one big thing, and we always talk about this, one big thing, every player that goes there, whether it's playing in Italy, whether it's playing in England, or whether it's you're in Belgium or Holland, is they talk about the speed of play and the speed of thought. And then also on top of that, you have an abundance of young players behind you that are eager to strip you of your starting spot at any given moment. So if you fuck off too many games, somebody's going to take your spot, and then you have to fight like hell to get it back. Whereas here in MLS, Miazga can probably fuck off half the season and be perfectly fine at Cincy. Who's going to take a spot?
I'd agree with you with Holland. Not sure about Belgium.
Sure. Well, we saw the difference. We saw the difference when Dempsey and Altidore and Bradley all came from Europe back to MLS. It was just a downward trajectory as far as what they offered on the pitch. Now Dempsey less than the other two, but my point stands is when you don't have that constant biting at your ankles, you tend to get a little sloppier. You're not punished as much. So I think even though Belgium, you can make the argument one way or the other. I don't care. I don't know enough to tell you one way or another, but I feel like even then, you're going to be sharper in the Belgium league than you would be at MLS.
So those 3 players all dropped off, I think, for different reasons. Dempsey sort of dropped off, not as badly as you said as the others, because of physical issues. The heart thing didn't help.
Sure.
But that was near the end. Then Bradley, I think that's all physical. I think that he just wasn't as quick. He just wasn't as fast as he used to be. But for Altidore, who's still fairly young when he got here, that was just poor work ethic, my opinion.
Bradley was the sharpest he's ever been when he was when he came back. When he left Roma to come back to MLS, he was the sharpest he's ever been.
His first year in MLS.
And his first year at Toronto was perfectly fine because there has to be some a downward trend. It's not just like, I'm on MLS.
No, his first season here was rather good.
Exactly, that's my point, though. But then it was a downward trajectory the entire time. Is my point.
Yeah, I think that's more down to his just getting older. Whereas
it could be both.
When Altidore got here, he was still physically fast, as imposing as he was when he was in Europe, and he was still 26 when he came back. So somewhere around there, 26, 27. You got at least 3 or 4 good years left in you. And he had a couple good ones, right? With Toronto, they were okay. But then you could say, oh, well, that was because of the little midget guy from Italy that he played alongside.
The Atomic Ant.
And, but whatever Altidore became at the Rebs and whatever he became when he went to Mexico, that is not a competitive player.
Yeah.
And it's a guy who's pretty full of himself and not really willing to accept that he's going to need to do something extra if he wants to continue to be competitive. Even in his interview with the CBS Paramount guys, you couldn't hear him saying that it was something he needed to do something to turn things around in order to find a new club. He almost sounded like it was going to happen through osmosis or something. No, dude, you got to show some fucking hunger. You got to show a want, a desire, a burning need. And you don't hear that at Altidore. He's not like, I got a fire in my belly. Still want to go out there. I know if I put extra effort in, I know I can come back and play in MLS. Nobody in MLS wants him. There you go.
Yeah.
So where's he going to go? Championship? He can't get a job at MLS? You think you're going to go play in the championship? Or somewhere else in Holland or something? No, dude, that ain't happening. All right, thanks, Tom Bogert.
Appreciate that. Yeah.
Don't Bogert my joint, my friend. All right. 19-year-old dual national center back Henri Chase has been training with Stuttgart's first team. The German side currently sitting third in the Bundesliga. Chase is Japan U23 regular, but is still eligible to file a switch. Why would he do that? He's been playing with Japan his whole youth career, from the U16, 17s all the way up to the U19s.
Derek, you say that as if that's like out of left field, out of the blue type of thing. How many? Araujo played with us from the U15s all the way up until he followed his one-time switch. David Ochoa did the exact same thing.
It's a different situation.
It happens. Now, I made a joking comment after this because we talked about this before the show that he might not be good enough for the Japan team. He might file the one-time switch to play for the U.S. I don't know. I don't know who he is, quite frankly. I just saw him like, look at it. It's a dual nat.
If I'm looking at Japanese national team and I'm looking at their quality of players and I'm looking at the U.S. men's national team and their quality of players, it's all fairly equal in the end.
Sure.
So I think it's just going to be where his heart is. And so far, his heart has been in Japan. It would take something phenomenal for him to change his mind. I think.
Again, I bring up Araujo, who's in our youth system his entire life, all the way up through Olympic qualification, which they failed to do that year, and then filed the one-time switch. David Ochoa was with our first Nations League team. He was with it. He was our third goalkeeper.
Don't use David Ochoa. He's impulsive.
And then he made the switch.
He's impulsive.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying that here are two examples of players who went through the youth woodwork of the United States and then opted to choose to play for Mexico.
Araujo's heart was with Mexico.
I'm not saying it's anything like that's a strange thing because he played 7+ years with the U.S. Youth Nationals, but
he and his buddy on the team both kind of made that decision together almost because it was one right after the other.
He didn't have a buddy that followed the one-time switch.
No, but he had a player on LA Galaxy, Araujo, at the time.
Sure, Efren.
That's correct, Efren. And
never played for the U.S.
They both, doesn't matter, he was still eligible for us, but they both made that decision relatively at near the same time as one another. It's almost like they came together, decided to do it together.
But again, Efren played for the Mexican national team, or youth national team, his entire career. It's apples and oranges right there. I'm just saying he made the one-time switch about the same time that Efren was actually playing with the national, playing quote unquote with the national team, but getting called in. My whole point to this, and again, I don't know the kid, I don't know his allegiance. Clearly, he's played in Japan his entire life. By all means, I hope he plays for Japan. I hope he does great.
Araujo was never.
My argument is that it happens.
Araujo was never called up by Mexican youth teams, so he was only getting called up by us. So we didn't have to have. There was no conflict there. It's not like both of us were calling him up. He went with us because we called him up. Mexican youth teams did not. But this is a situation where this guy's been playing with his youth compatriots since he was 15 years old. Now, here's the only thing I think that could affect it. Just like the Japanese goalie, who is also a dual nat, who is also half Japanese, half African American. There is still a fucking boatload of racism in Japan. That's the only thing I can see. The stigma, by the way, of being an American soldier's kid in Japan after World War II, yes, has that worn off a little? It certainly has. But you were not looked upon fondly by Japanese society, and that's tough. Now, I don't know how much of that still exists. I can't imagine it's all gone. But
so David D says, I usually agree with you, Brett, but Derek's 100% right on this. Very different circumstances. The thing is I don't know anything about this kid. I don't know how close he is to his U.S. roots. All I know is that he's a dual nat that's played for the Japanese youth national team. And by all means, you even brought up that he's been playing there since he was 15 with the youth national team, which is the exact same trajectory that Araujo had.
He grew up.
The only difference is that we know more about Araujo because he was in the States. We've had interviews with him.
Araujo grew up in the United States. Chase did not.
That's fair. That's fair.
So
I'm just saying that's the only difference, but I don't know. And I'm going to flat out say this. I don't think he's going to switch. Why would he want to switch? To your point, he's only ever played and lived in Japan.
Well, in Germany.
Well, besides that, yeah.
So anyhow, we'll keep an eye on it. But again, it's nothing for anybody to whip out the jar of Vaseline about. All right, it's too early to call.
Sure.
It's nice to keep an eye on it. It's nice that he's training with the Stuttgart first team. Call me when he plays for the Stuttgart
thank you. I was going to say, hey, remember we had a striker that was going up through the Union Berlin youth system, playing with scoring a lot of goals for the youth system, gets called up to the national or the senior squad, but doesn't play.
You mean Union Berlin's senior team?
Yeah.
Yeah. He does not play for them.
Yeah. But that's my point.
He's on loan right now, isn't he?
Who is?
Malik Sanogo? Yeah.
Is he on loan?
I don't think he's with Union Berlin's youth squad this season.
I'm not even going to bother looking it up because somebody will have it in the chat before I can even get to it, so fuck it.
Probably BMR will know. Nevertheless, yeah, let's just wait and see. Stuttgart is one of the best teams in the league right now. More than likely, he's never going to play for them. He might get a couple minutes here and there, maybe at best, but then he'll be sent off somewhere else on loan. And then we'll see how that goes. Too early to tell and too early to worry about. Yeah. Good luck, Henri Chase.
And again, who cares? He hasn't represented the U.S. He hasn't expressed any interest for the U.S., so it's not a factor.
It's like the who cares level of Maurice Malone, right? Who's now at Basel. Yeah, did I keep track of him? Yeah, of course I did. Wherever he went, I kept track of him. He was a young, played for German youth teams, was a dual nat. Yeah, I kept track of him, but I never really thought he was going to play for us anytime soon. And I didn't know what he was going to amount to, but I just kept track of him. Mm-hmm. I didn't break out the jar of Vaseline and start waxing it about, oh my God, I hope Maurice Malone plays for the U.S. national team. Nobody should be doing that at this point. See, I knew he wasn't at Union Berlin anymore.
Okay. Yeah.
I knew it.
BMR, I don't believe that you had that right off the top of your head. I think you probably had it took way too long for you to respond to us. I'm going to believe that you just transfer marketed while I assumed you were
Steel trap, BMR. Steel trap. I believe you. I believe you, brother. All right. What else we got?
Oh, man.
All right.
Tim Ream news. Tim Ream.
Marco Silva finally had something to say about Tim Ream. Tim Ream will be out for the match against Newcastle United. Tim felt something in his calf after we played Nottingham Forest. Let's see. We have to keep assessing him. He's doing rehab with the medical department. He's not training. It's probably going to be too early for him to return before Christmas. Thank you, because he was not listed on the injury report for that game. And
somebody mentioned it in our last show, though, because we talked about that, and you're like, you say it brought up the calf injury, and you're like, oh, I didn't know he had cows.
Yeah, I know, but there was nothing in the actual official report. So it's like, okay, I can believe this dude, which is fine, but I just don't believe everybody. I'd like to see it confirmed in a report somewhere. And this finally was it, because it's kind of weird seeing him out. But I'll say this. They're playing really good without him. I mean, they've been killing teams without Tim Ream. 5-0. What was the other score? 5-1.
It was 5-1. Yeah, I think it was 5-1. Yeah.
Just trashing these teams. So, as a Fulham fan, yes, do I want Tim Ream to be there? Is Bassey, I think, was his replacement, playing really well? Yes. Yes, he is. And I'm not having any complaints watching my games. I had to look it up. Okay.
Because he goes, because why the fuck would I care that much about Sanogo?
Your head's in the right place, buddy.
That was Berlin's boy for a while there, man. He was like really high up on him. He's like, "Hey, this guy, keep it on this kid." And he got called into a couple of the U23s. Didn't really light up the place by any means.
No. I mean, we'll all keep an eye on him.
Still super fucking young, so I'm definitely not saying anything bad about the kid.
What is he, 19 though now, right?
Yeah.
So pretty soon, I mean, he got hair on his balls last year, and by 2021, you want to be barking up a tree that has a squirrel in it. And so if he's still barking up trees with no squirrels, then he's a dog with no pleasure. And he'll end up playing with, I don't know, a 2 Bundesliga team, a 3 Bundesliga team, and then he'll have to work his ass up through that, which is very difficult to do sometimes. Like Behrens is a great example on Union Berlin of some guy who's playing down in 3 Bundesliga at one point. Or Jamie Vardy, right, in for Leicester, when he made his ramble and run. Or even when Bargars, our center back, played for Watford. Started out in 3 Bundesliga demerit. So it's doable. Yeah. It's just hard. It's really hard. Once you're stuck down that low, it's hard to get out.
So Sonogo went from Union Berlin, where he played for their U19s, to Nuremberg. Nuremberg.
Thought he got minutes with the 2 team.
Nope, U17, U19, and kind of nobody didn't. No, that's it. U19.
Okay.
Now he's playing with Nuremberg's regional team. Yeah. And he's got 12 games, scored 3 goals, 1 assist, and has 442 minutes. So it's roughly about a little less than 40 minutes a game.
Yeah, so he's not a starter. All right. Or he probably doesn't regularly start.
Some starts, some not starts, probably is probably what it is.
Some off the bench last 10 minutes, score us a goal kind of thing stuff. So, all right. Well, good to hear that Tim Ream has just a calf thing, right?
Yeah.
PSV coach Peter Bosch says he found it almost scary how good U.S. men's national team international Malik Tillman looked versus Arsenal. I would agree.
Yeah.
God, he was good.
Yeah.
He was really good. And, Pepe looked pretty good too, by the way. Not as good as Tillman, but Pepe should have had a goal. But,
yeah. Well, that was a great defensive stop.
But don't you loof that over that doodle, get a little under that ball?
You're heat of the moment. You're just like, connect with it.
He just hammered it straight on the ground. If he would have
if that defender didn't do this, watch. Like that. If he didn't do that with his foot, it would have gone in.
I know. That's why you lift it off the ground. Just give it 8 inches and you got a goal, right? But I understand it's the heat of the moment.
That's what she said.
Give it 8 inches.
You know,
8 inches would have done it. But unfortunate. I thought Pepe for sure was going to score on that.
I love the fact that some of the Ultra fans came out of the woodwork and started bagging on Pepe on his assist. Like people are like, "Oh, he got an assist," and they're like, "Yeah, look at that assist." Like, okay,
it's he made the right pass. What are they complaining about?
And on top of that, he I mean, it wasn't a phenomenal like I'm going to split 2 defenders for this pass. He placed the ball in the stride of him where the guy didn't have to stop at all, slow down. It was just a constant run shot. It was a perfectly played pass.
They were resting Dest, obviously, for this game.
Sure, yeah. Well, why would you play him? You're already qualified.
Didn't he get some minutes at the end, though? He did,
yes.
Yep. So
he nutmegged somebody.
Right.
Like he did the little kick in and then pack through his legs. Yeah.
All Pepe proved in that game is he wasn't a liability and that he could do the job if called upon. If the Young is out for an injury, we all know that the Young was just being rested. He wasn't injured. They're like, you're getting a break. This game's meaningless. We could lose it. We're still off to the next round. Doesn't really matter. We're supposed to lose it anyhow. And guess what? They didn't lose it. They didn't. They looked really, really fucking competitive against Arsenal, one of the best teams in the Premier League, who didn't exactly put out their C team either, by the way. So
yeah, Al says both teams sat their starters for a reason. Yeah, because they both qualified. They were on.
I saw some starters for Arsenal.
I feel like there were starters for both sides.
Yeah, there were a few for each side, I guess.
I think their key starters probably sat out there.
Yeah, De Jong sat out, obviously. Dest sat out. Yeah, Yeah, definitely there were some guys missing. So
the promising thing here is that Tillman went obviously from Bayern's youth programs to going to Rangers. Sorry, went to Rangers, and had some good games, had some off games,
but it was hard to tell.
Yeah, it was hard to tell. And I mean, he got like who's on their all time or the Scottish Premier team of the season or whatever.
And you're like, how good is he really?
Yeah, exactly. You know? But now he's playing in a little bit more of a competitive league, and he's doing well.
The Champions League.
He's doing well in Champions League against top teams. I mean, that was a hell of a group. Wait, a mix of groups. Never mind. Pass that. Scratch that. But he's looking good. That's the key thing. And we're going into the international windows with two creative midfielders at this point. One's playing consistently and doing well. The other one's getting bit minutes.
At Dortmund.
And looking good for the most part.
Yeah.
But he's got so few minutes there at Dortmund that it's got to be frustrating.
No, I'm sure it is. And then he gets pitched at the end of the game too. Yeah.
I mean, here's Terzic and Hummels talking to him, and Reyna doesn't look like he's having it. He's just like, eh.
Of course,
this is a snapshot, so you have no idea what actually happened. I mean, I didn't see this part of the video, so I have no idea if it was like he's walking away. He's like, "Hey, Gio," and Gio turns and talks, but it looks like he's not having it.
Yeah, I'd like to hear what a German paper or article said about these issues, because they seem to be a little bit of bitching and moaning going on back and forth here between Hummels and Reyna, and then Terzic got involved, and you're kind of like, what are they talking about, do you think? Because I didn't really see anything that Reyna did wrong. Let's go
down the comment section and take a look at what other people are thinking.
Quite disappointed to turn on and have to fast forward through 70 minutes of the game, 78 minutes of the game to get to Reyna, which is what I did because I'm not watching Terzic ball. Fuck that shit.
Why would you even care?
I don't.
Who fucking cares?
Fuck him. I'll watch the 10 minutes that Reyna played. Fuck the rest.
Basically, because again, I don't follow any of these fucking teams outside of Juve. And I'll watch games that way, and McKinney won't play on Juve. But and it's painful, don't get me wrong. But
is it ever?
Any of these other games, I will unless I'm sitting down and watching it, and I'll look at the lineup to find out if the player's playing first before I sit down and watch the whole game.
Yeah, if you can't catch it live, yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, if it's not live, then I'm just finding out when that player is getting on the pitch, and then I'm just going to go to that moment and watch from there. Because I don't care about the team. I'm not a fan of that team.
I don't have enough time either.
Yeah.
To watch the parts of the game where the players aren't even playing.
So I feel like most USA fans at this point are sitting there going like, Gio needs to get the fuck out of Dortmund at this point.
Yeah, I think so.
What would happen if Terzic gets shit canned? Do you think Gio should stay?
I don't know. Depends on who they bring in, right?
It's tough to decide, huh?
Yeah, you'd have to know. Is this going to be an attacking guy? Is this a guy who likes? Is this a manager who likes to be on the front foot and attack, or is it going to be more conservative horseshit like we see from Terzic? At least in the Bundesliga games, for sure. I actually thought that Reyna might have a chance at starting this game since they'd already qualified for the next round, right?
Yeah.
But maybe they were worried about not playing the first play, making sure they finished first. I don't know. But 10 minutes, give me a break. According to Dortmund fans, Hummels was upset Gio gave the ball away twice in a not-so-great spot and didn't try and fight to get the ball back. That's fair.
Yeah.
It's fair.
And I'm not saying that Hummels wouldn't have an argument. If this were the case, by all means, he can do that. And it looks, again, I have the video pulled up here in a second. I'll play it. But it looks like Gio's just making a case for why he didn't do something or whatever.
Yeah.
But I want to go, before I pull that up and everything, I wanted to go through the comment section of this post. Because Anthony here posted this. He goes, Gio, blah, 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 et cetera, just talking. Just a simple post.
Mm-hmm.
Here's some pictures of Gio, looking like he's, from the late 90s, early 2000s with those frosted tips. But, yeah, I'm not going to have it, guys. Here's Ted. You know Ted.
God damn it, Ted. I hope he's joking.
I don't know. I can't tell Ted from time to time.
You can't. He's
that.
He's got Asperger's, so it's really hard to tell.
Oh, does
I don't know.
Heard him talk.
I've always suspected Ted had Asperger's. He doesn't relate to people well at all. So there you go. I mean, he's very. He doesn't seem to be able to empathize with other people's point of view. Like, oh, I get why you might think that. Okay, all right, cool. He's not one of those guys.
Yeah.
All right. He's not like, well, I get your point there, but there's never I got your point there from Ted. Ted is black and white. He lives in a black and white world.
It's all pro and rel too. It's predominantly what he's black and white about.
Black and white world. He's like that with a lot of issues, though. Obviously, with Reyna. If this is actually not a joke, and I haven't talked to Ted for probably 13, 14 years. Back when he started his whole thing, we had a back and forth for a while on Big Soccer.
I remember, yeah.
And then I just like, it's not worth talking to you because you just live in just, a 0 and 1 world, and that's not how the world is built. Everyone would love pro rel in a perfect ideal world, but there are reasons why it's not going to happen. And you can bang your head. I told him back then, go ahead and bang your head against the wall for the next decade. Nothing's changing. Well, I'm sure he did continue to bang his head against a fucking brick wall.
It's everywhere, yeah. He recently unblocked us because all of a sudden he started appearing in my feed. But he follows us now. So, hey, Ted, if you're watching this.
Yeah, Ted.
Keep fighting a good fight, man.
I don't know what you're up to these days. It's nothing personal. I'm just relating a story from back in the day and some of our first conversations that you probably don't remember because you had more than me coming at you, telling you, hey, I'd love pro rel too, but here's why it's not going to happen, buddy. And
well, I mean, we have the same approach with anything when it comes to like the Disneyland lineups that everybody posted early in Berhalter's, or even late in the Berhalter's career. We're saying, like, guys, this is not going to happen.
Right.
Derek and I, we predicted a lineup, and we got like 90 to 95% of it always correct. Even the formation, how we played, it was all predictable. Not sure how everybody got confused by this. Maybe because everybody wanted, hey, this is how we should play. Well, that's fair.
You can't let your wants get in the way of reality. And we know what our reality is. We got to live with it, right? I mean, I could make up my own Disneyland lineup. I could create my own Disneyland league with P&R, and I even did at one point. I said, here's how we could do it. If it could happen, it's going to be MLS 1, MLS 2. That's the only way you're going to have promotion relegation. That there are 8 teams split into 2 leagues, MLS 1 and MLS 2, but they're all going to be MLS. So, but that's the only way MLS promotion and it's within MLS. It's the only way you're going to get P&R. But it's official. Asperger's isn't a condition anymore. Just say he's on the spectrum now. Yeah, I don't know about that. I'm not a clinical psychologist.
Yeah.
Nor am I a doctor.
I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express once, though.
So I'm not saying he is. I just suspect that he was. Now, if they've changed the spectrum at this point, I wouldn't know, not being in the field, if you will, in that area.
We got somebody corrected this.
Philosopher Flamatini. Asperger's is still very much a thing. I have it. We're like a lot of autistics, e.g. sensory issues and the like, but we're not nearly as impaired. I know people, I've been very good friends with people with Asperger's. And I think, at least in my experience, there can be brilliant people. In fact, one of them was on city council in Bloomington that I knew for a long time. Great guy. One of my better friends on city council. Big old Steve. He's like almost 7 foot. That dude's 7 foot. It's fucking really old. Anyhow, he has it. And, there was nothing more fun than hanging out with Steve and talking about history, Bloomington history, architecture, city planning. That good guy knew his shit. But sometimes there was like a lack of ability to understand someone else's point of view. Sometimes it could get black and white, but that's not all people with Asperger's. There are a range of things in Asperger's syndrome, and I'm not a doctor, so I can't go through the list. Yeah. But anyhow, all that to say, Ted, thank you for being, I guess, for following this again.
Mike. Mike's a followers. He listens to our show. He might even be in the chat. Mike, if you're there, what's up?
They're admonishing Gio for trying to make match-winning plays. That's what he was trying to do. So I agree. He lost the ball trying to do it. But that's not normal for Reyna. He doesn't lose the ball a whole lot. So this is a rare thing. So out of context, they had good, healthy arguments when you watch the clip. Yeah, it didn't seem to be a nasty thing at all.
It's like, hey, blah, 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 blah. You know, it's just like, okay, chill out. I mean, it definitely didn't look heated by any means.
Right.
And people are making a mountain out of a molehill, as we'll find out here.
Yeah, my man is going to be gone next month. Probably.
Yeah.
Probably going to go on
fingers
loan.
Crossed. Yeah.
I hope so.
But then there are people that are like, I even commented one. I'm not sure if it's on this third or not, but he's like, where is he going to go after Dortmund? He's injury prone, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. And I'm just like,
again, we're going with injury prone,
guys.
Somebody broke his fucking leg. That's not injury prone. You know what's injury prone? Tyler Adams. That's injury prone. Okay? That's not a broken leg. That is a sports fucking hernia. And it's very hard to get rid of.
Tired U.S. men's national team fans says very much the same thing. Limited role. I'm not taking any BS. You know, blah, blah, blah.
So overrated. Can't even look at the coach in the eye. So overrated. I don't think he's so overrated, Scott. I don't think he's getting much chance to play.
Yeah.
But I don't really give a fuck if he licks Terzic in the eye or not. He knows he's gone. He's leaving. Not a good look. I don't think it's that bad of a look if you look at it in context and you play it back. It's really not that bad. And Tom's absolutely right. Dortmund is driving his price down, so he's more affordable for. No, that's not what they want to do. They do not want to drive his price down.
But they are. But they don't want to.
But
which is why the Dortmund blog or whatever that we pull up every now and then, they mentioned that the Dortmund board
are pissed.
They're pissed that he's not getting time to develop.
The board and the people that run the administration within Dortmund are fucking pissed at Terzic for not playing him because they're driving his price down.
Mm-hmm. Even the players are talking about they want to play more attacking style.
Yeah, the players are bitching about Terzic and the way he plays too. Everybody's bitching and moaning. The only guy seems to be relatively happy with the way things are going is Terzic himself. So there you go.
This kid says it's not a good look.
Nah.
There's Marcus saying Gio's crying again. Hugo saying he's trash. And then Reyna is such a bitch.
You know, these people are going to feel so stupid about 3 years from now.
Yeah.
2.5. They're going to feel like such dipshits when he is the heart and soul. They might feel that they might all have to fucking. I hope everybody is keeping tabs and receipts on these people because when he kicks ass at Copa America, I want all these people to eat shit.
I bookmarked it, Eric, so I've got that thread. Because that's the thing. He's going to do well for the U.S. national team. There's no doubt in my mind. No doubt in most people's mind. But people are pissed off with the whole World Cup thing, and it's jaded their sight of the kid.
Well, they're stupid then. Because it's his parents, number one. If you don't like his frosted tips, Brett doesn't like his frosted tips. It's not a big deal. You don't have to hate somebody for that. And yeah, is he a little bit arrogant? Yes. We need some goddamn swagger on this fucking team.
Mm-hmm.
And he backs it up when given the opportunity. Look what he almost single-handedly did to Mexico in Nations League. He's almost single-handedly destroyed them by himself. He dominated that midfield.
Well, and guess what? Who our strikers say they love playing with?
Reyna.
They love playing with Reyna because Reyna's giving him the options.
You think
unlocking that defense?
You think Balogun's going to get any through passes from anybody else? No.
And what happened when they took Reyna off the pitch in that Mexico and was it also Ghana? Mexico Ghana, yeah. Window is all of a sudden our strikers were checking back into the midfield really fucking far again.
Back to Gregg Ball.
To Gregg Ball. And you know what? Bala doesn't want to play that style. He wants to ride right up there with that line, wait for that through ball, and then cut in.
You know,
what he wants to do. It's
might
not hard.
This might be a complete reflection of the lack or the diminishing amount of fucking testosterone in this country. When you got all these wimpy ass dudes complaining about a guy who stands up for himself, has some arrogance, believes in himself, has massive confidence in himself as a player. Yeah. Oh, I guess that's just a bad thing. You're not allowed to have those things anymore, I guess. Well, just grow up. Grow a pair too. Honestly, if this little activity here, Brett and I have played on teams. You ever had a conversation like this with one of your teammates?
Dude,
I have.
I yelled at my entire team, telling them to get their heads out of their asses and play the next fucking half properly.
Yes, we've all called out somebody else.
What happened after that? We're all still friends. We're all still hanging out, grab a beer. Fuck it.
Life moved on. Somebody made a bad play. You say, hey, pull your fucking head out of your ass. I'm wide open over here. But you know what? After the game's over and you've had that discussion, it's it. It's over. It's called playing on a sports team, which a lot of other motherfuckers don't do anymore either.
Well,
in high school, in whatever, college, barely anymore. I mean, we got a whole generation of kids that sit inside their fucking house playing on their computers and diddly doing Twitters instead of getting out in the world and fucking experiencing it and playing sports, etc. That's why we got wussies like this typing shit like this on Twitter, because maybe they've never experienced playing on a sports team before, so they don't realize this is quite common, what happened here. Quite common.
I mean, it's the same situation. Like, you know, I get into arguments with my friends all the time, and it's nothing personal by any means, but we have different opinions, and we'll say something back and forth. We'll call each other fuck offs, and
we've gotten arguments on the show.
Fine. Yeah,
and people thought we needed a counselor.
Oh no, guys, calm down! I can't have a breakup again. Like, oh no, Derek and I are just fucking around here. I mean, it's serious, but we're big boys. We got our big boy pants on.
Jesus Christ, we're gonna get over it. The show will go on.
It's a different time period, quite frankly.
It's
all it is. I mean, God, you used to rag and bag on your friends all the fucking time.
Yeah, it was called busting their balls.
You busted their balls.
Yeah.
And guess what? Nobody got fucking offended over that shit.
And they busted your balls back.
100%.
That's how that shit worked. It was almost a term of endearment.
Yes.
Right? I can bust your balls because I know we're good buddies.
You'll know if I don't like you if I'm not busting your balls.
Right. Exactly. That's what we used to say.
I got a 4-second clip here. Thanks to Tac posted it of the argument at hand. Let's see how serious it really is. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Oh my God, the horror!
Wow. My dick's this long. Look at how long my dick is. And then Reyna's like, my dick's pretty big too. It's about this long.
He's like, mine's this long. He's like, mine's this long.
Well, he's got his arm still extended pretty far, so he's like, well, mine's this long.
Yeah. I mean hey. That's impressive still, Gio. Good job.
So,
but I know that you didn't find the humor in it, but I like my response best. So, Gio, you don't put beans in chili.
I don't have any beans in chili before.
Yeah, because, well, don't get me wrong, beans are good. They're high in fiber, but they don't belong in chili.
Well, I disagree. And my dick's this long.
It's like almost says, wait till I tell you about my pasta with cinnamon that goes in it. You've lost, old man. Accept it.
My stepsister likes to start right here when we start getting together. Right.
What about this chili? You dig this chili, Derek?
Skyline chili I like in the restaurants. I don't like off the
can.
The can. It's not good out of the can. It doesn't taste.
Not.
It does not taste the same.
How would that possibly taste good?
I don't know. Why does it taste so different? Preservatives in the cans? Must be.
This is what Skyline's basically just spaghetti with
cinnamon
on top.
Cinnamon. That's their secret recipe in there. Cinnamon. And I think they got a little ginger maybe in there too. It's a little weird. It's got a little sweetness to it. The cinnamon, sugary sweetness. It's not bad, but I like the restaurant. The last time I went to one was Cincinnati because they don't have them here.
Yeah. Oh no, there's one on exit 10, I think.
No shit.
I think.
Haven't seen it. Haven't seen that.
I might be wrong. I might be making this up.
All right. Judgmental
deity.
Why is our fandom so soft? Seems like a certain section of it just wants to turn on Reyna for any reason because they're soft. Why are they soft? I think a demonstrable reduction of testosterone in males. I guess the recent study said that kids my son's age, my younger son's age, which is 21, have as much testosterone as an 80-year-old man, i.e. my dad, nowadays.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you need a whole overload of testosterone. That's probably a bad thing. People with too much testosterone obviously can have some issues with that, like temper-related or whatever. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. But I think, that's why people don't want you to take steroids, right? Doesn't that boost testosterone to a point where you're...
That's why I was going to make that comment. It was like, with all the steroids in our meats these days, you'd imagine that shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, I don't know how much of those you retain. I think you ship most of those out. So I think, I don't know the answer in the end. I just know we're not the same kind of social world that we used to live in when Brett and I were young, which was not a digital world. So you learn to socialize with people verbally, face to face. And believe me, you can't just shoot your mouth off.
Yeah.
With a stranger that you just met in person, one-to-one. Now you can do that online, and it's not a big deal. Not that I don't shoot my mouth off, but I had to adjust to that culture. So other people shoot their mouth off on X, I shoot my mouth off because that's just what the rules are. But
I just laugh at it all.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, I do it usually through a lens of humor.
Yeah,
but I'm still kicking them in the nuts. Jack Pineda, they don't want a good-looking man slinging his schlong, stealing all the girls away from them.
That's why they don't like the testosterone. Here we go. We got
Dr. Derek, testosterone scientist. I clearly said I am not a doctor. That I don't have a degree in medicine. So yeah, I'm just taking wild guesses here.
John says Jones was right about the frogs.
The French?
No. They're making the freaking frogs gay.
Oh yeah, the gay frog thing. Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
He's back on it, Twitter, apparently.
Yeah, he got brought back, yeah.
Saw that on the news.
I'm kind of surprised it took Elon that long to bring him back. I mean, I felt like it should have just been a clean swipe, like a brush of de-banning. You're all unbanned. Clean slate. Go.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he had to consider that even though he's been right on certain issues, like way before they happened, there were other ones where things he said, especially about the school shooting, that was fucked up. Some of that was wrong. And not all, I don't know how much of it was wrong, but it seems to me enough to have some of the parents get death threats or whatever it was for faking their agony or their whatever that was. I just remember that being a deal when Indy 11 was going, and we had people posting all his stuff in the Indy 11 feed. I'm like, okay, this is not a fucking political feed, please. Can you post your idea, your thoughts about Jones somewhere else, but not here? This is about the team and the soccer team. So
I think Fumar's comment is in reference to your Skyline chili in a can not being good.
Like buying frozen White Castle burgers, not the same at all. I kind of agree with that too. Like I do still like the ones you can buy in the store.
So you like your chicken rings or whatever.
I love those, the spicy chicken rings, but I do agree they're just not the same.
Yeah.
They're just that there's some sort of preservative.
It's how they're steamed compared to how you probably cook them at your house. That's probably the big difference.
Well, it's like ranch dressing Hidden Valley Ranch dressing in a bottle. Disgusting. Absolutely gross. You can taste the preservatives in it. Make your own at home with a little mayo and milk with that little powdery shit. Tastes great. Tastes fucking fabulous. But don't use the bottle. It's disgusting. Although Wishbone's not bad. Yeah, but no. I don't know if they use less preservatives or what. MLS Board of Governors approves new sporting initiatives ahead of the 2024 season.
I know you're excited, Derek.
Oh, I'm hard as a rock. Let's do this.
What could MLS have in store for us next season?
Well, I'm titillated. Off-field treatment rule. The off-field treatment rule allows medical professionals the time to assess and treat players off the field in a less pressurized environment if a player with suspected injury remains on the ground for more than 15 seconds. The referee will stop play and wave the medical crew onto the field to evaluate the player. When safe, the player will be removed from the field and remain off the field for a minimum of 2 minutes for further assessment and treatment.
So I guess the idea here is that you're going to the fake injuries are going to go bye-bye because if you stay on the ground for more than 15 seconds and the medical staff has to come out, you're off the pitch for 2 fucking minutes.
Yeah. I kind of like that rule.
I'm fine with that. I hate the milking of the injury. Like, and then it comes out there. Then it's another 2 minutes later. I'm fine. I'm fine.
Although, I mean, you've had this happen too, I'm sure. I have been raked on the heel a few times in my playing days.
Sure.
It took me a lot longer than 15 seconds to get over that shit. Because
you just got to get up and you got to hobble. What the hell's that?
I mean, that kind of rake where it leaves like marks and blood coming down your ankle.
Your sock is all ripped up.
Yeah, exactly. It took me a lot longer. And I have been kicked like, okay, your shin guards get a little out of whack sometimes while you're playing. And I've been kicked like right in the fucking shin so hard, dude. And it took longer than 15 seconds.
I'd be interested to find out what everybody's opinions on shin guards really are. So when I played, I took like the cheapo of cheap shin guards. I cut off the ankle part of it. And then I cut a hole at the top and I removed the little plastic guards in them. So basically it was a piece of cloth between my shin and the sock. So I couldn't stand shin guards.
So we just had the ones that were about 6 to 8 inches long. You just slid them in your sock. There was no, that's it. You didn't have the whole attachment like they have now where it goes into a sock that you put on before you put on the actual soccer sock. None of that shit. We just slid in.
No, I agree. That's the same thing as mine. But I made my own because you probably just had like a piece of plastic that went in there like that.
A little with some foam behind it. Yeah.
So, yeah. The old school 1980s one.
Skinny foam.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, mine was the same way except for it was a piece of cloth and there were like 3 little plastic guards in there. I just cut those fucking things out. I could not stand shin guards. And my take is you're going to get kicked there. You're still going to get bruised regardless. And I witnessed a kid, and I probably mentioned this on the show before, but I witnessed a kid in my grade who had like these bulletproof shin guards, massive monster fuckers. You know? And he went shin to shin with a kid a kid that graduated years ago in a 50-50 tackle who was not wearing shin guards at all. The kid that had like the bulletproof one, his shin broke in like 3 places. The other kid walked away like nothing happened.
All right. Well, that could be angle, and it could be bone density too.
Sure. I mean, it wasn't. I'm sure the shin guards. Well, maybe it was the shin guards. Maybe the pressure behind those things fractured. I don't know.
It's literally. I've been kicked in the shin once because when you just slide those in, sometimes they get out of whack. They don't stay where they're supposed to, and I literally had a dent in my shin. Like you could feel it if you rubbed against my shin. There'd be like up, little dent. You're like, fuck, dude, there's a dent. It might have been broken. I don't know. Back then, we had more testosterone.
You rub some dirt on it.
Rub some fucking dirt on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got back to playing. All right, next one. Time substitution rule. Maximizing effect match time. The time substitution rule requires that a substituted player exit the field within 10 seconds. Failure to exit from any point on the field within 10 seconds will cause the incoming player to wait for a 60-second holding period before entering the game. I like this too. Fuck that lazy ass getting off the field shit.
Walk trots.
Yeah. It speeds up the game too. And that's good because let's face it, people these days have a very short attention span. So if you're watching it on TV, especially, you don't want to see some guy roll around for 30 seconds, and you don't want to see some fucking slow ass motherfucker barely trot his way off.
Like walking would actually be faster than what he's doing.
Yeah. Take a minute to get off the pitch.
Yeah.
Exceptions to this rule include injury and goalkeeper subs. Okay, cool. I like this one too.
Not bad, not bad.
Stoppage time clock, scoreboard, video boards, and or stadium clocks will run until completion of each half, including any additional time at the end of either of the first or second halves.
So basically, it's going to display stoppage time.
Okay.
I'm fine with that too, because there's nothing worse than it's stopping at 90 and you're sitting there going like, how much more fucking time do we have?
Well, they on TV, they'll give you the +4, right?
They'll say +4, yeah.
But now it'll just keep running, so you know how much time. But if you're watching live, you don't know that unless you hit your timer on your, or you grab your phone and go, oh God, let's see how much time we're gonna get.
Guys, 2 minutes.
Yep. No, I'm fine with that.
I'm fine with that. Again, these are simple game management fixes, which are fine. I'm glad they're doing that.
Yep. Discovery slot reduction. Okay, good. So that we already read about earlier. That's going to go from
7 to 5.
Okay. I mean, it's still too much.
Get rid of the rule altogether. How about that?
But it looks like San Diego will keep theirs all the way through 2025. They're full 7 because they're an expansion team.
It's a discovery claim. Who fucking cares?
And they don't need it because they are
stupid.
San Diego FC are going to be all about player development. They've said it in their documentation.
Hairy nutsacks, right?
The hairiest team ever will be at San Diego FC.
Talk about testosterone. They were talking about that.
They were.
Yeah.
They were like, hey, we'll realize when a player's going through puberty and we will move him up to the bigger team with the bigger players. Hair on balls equals moving up the ladder at San Diego FC. All right, what else?
But yeah, again, just get rid of the fucking rule. And there's a lot of rules that they just need to drop at this point.
Yeah.
You're an actual league. Who cares about your scouting ability? It has to be within 75-mile radius or wherever the fuck the rules are for that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Get rid of that rule. Let LA come out to Kansas, and if they can scout somebody better than Kansas City can, let them scout them.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck off.
Yep.
So dumb. Those are the big ones from the article I pulled up, but there's MLS Buzz on X posted a kind of a synopsis of some of the other ones that didn't cover here. Maybe we talk about those real quick.
The only proposed changes MLS is discussing in 2024. Changing the max budget charge of TAM players from 1.65 to 2 million, decreasing discovery, we already talked about, bringing in off-field, we already talked about that too. So that's it.
The big thing was the TAM. You know, the money you can spend on a designated player without being designated player goes from 1.65 to 2.
It's not a huge jump, but it'll work.
Here's some more funny money Garber bucks.
Yep. All right, are we down to the...
There's a big one where just the same topic, but we don't have to spend a lot of time on it. But Tack basically said, hey, we're going into the Club World Cup in 2025. We got the World Cup in 2026, all here in the States, and MLS pedals out this basically slow and steady type mentality as far as growth. This is arguably the biggest point of growth that we could have in the league since the emergence back in the announcement of back in 93 of MLS and the amount of investment that they put into developing the league to start in 96, I believe is what it was.
Yeah.
So that basically Tack's whole point was MLS is showing their cards that they have no interest of really pushing their owners to make this league grow on a time period where there's going to be a lot of eyes on the U.S.
And Garber flat out said they couldn't afford it to do anymore.
They're always going to say that when it comes to negotiations for their owners.
Right. He works for the owners.
Yeah.
So whatever they tell him to do, especially the old guard, who basically still have the biggest seats at the table because they founded the league. We're talking about the Rebs guys, the Colorado guys, the guys who founded the league. Well, LAG wants to spend more money. So they're an exception to the old guard. But the old guard does not want to spend money. And so every time you are increasing the cap, they are not happy. That's why we got Tam and Gam. That was Garber's way of getting around the old school owners. And he's just going to say what they tell them to say, what they tell him to say. Simple as that.
You're lucky you got this much.
Yeah. So, at least they got the TAM up to $2 million. So we'll see. But I just don't think expecting any more than this is, well, you shouldn't be surprised. If you're tacked, you shouldn't be surprised. And I don't think that, I think it's going to slowly continue to slowly increase, but it ain't going to be a massive jump at any point.
No.
Period. That's just not how MLS has ever operated. And with all the expansion that we have, and then, of course, the new contract with Apple TV, there are lots of things that you need to be smart about and take step by step. What if this whole Apple TV thing, I haven't seen the numbers yet.
They haven't published them.
How many people watched the final on Apple Plus? Instead of if it were
wasn't it also on like national TV somewhere?
I don't remember. I don't remember seeing it on national TV. Was it on Fox? Someone let us know.
Anytime the game's broadcasted live, actual on TV, whether it's like Telemundo or whatever, they always advertise, or they always state how many people watch that match. But when you hear about the Apple TV, they just say, yeah, we've exceeded our expectations. We have this many new people, and I'm like, well, how many of those people are getting it for free? Because if you have, like you got Apple TV for free, right?
I think the free part's over.
Oh, sure, I'm sure it is now.
Yeah, so I got it free for 3 months. Anyhow, yeah, I'd like to see the numbers, and we will. And when they come out, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it.
I don't know if they're necessarily.
They got to publish that shit at some point.
Dude, but I mean, that's the thing when it comes to streaming. A lot of it's all up to the streaming services to publish those numbers. Some streaming services are very active in publishing the numbers itself, and you have some that are just like, it was this show was on the top 10 of shows watched. Trust us.
Wouldn't MLS want to know the numbers?
I'm sure MLS knows the numbers.
And if it wasn't on Fox this year, then that's all they got.
It was on Fox 2, apparently.
Fox 2?
TOO.
I don't even get that.
As well. Fox as well.
Oh, okay. Just Fox. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So I didn't watch it on Fox. I watched it on Apple, so I didn't know. Well, that's good to know. I'd like to see what the numbers were for Fox, and I'd like to see what the numbers were for Apple Plus combined, and see what the actual viewing numbers were. They should increase the price of Apple TV so they could add MLS to Apple TV for free.
You can get the MLS game day pass by itself, and you still have to pay the $6 for Apple TV itself.
Yeah,
it's not a combined price. You pay for two different services through the same company, through the same streaming services.
Yeah. Well, the deal they signed, obviously, with MLS, Apple wants to make some money off of this too. So they want a percentage. So they're raising the price, obviously, of a basic subscription by adding on an additional subscription. So, yeah, whatever. By the way, I wanted to mention that Dante Polvara and Aberdeen defeated Frankfurt today in the, what do they call that?
Womp.
Conference League, whatever that minor ass.
Oh, yeah. You said Frankfurt? God
yes,
damn.
Aberdeen beat Frankfurt.
Like third place current Frankfurt?
Yes, and Polvara had an assist. And Paxton Aronson went on and played 80 minutes.
So Frankfurt played down. I think their hope is to keep everybody fresh for Bundesliga so they can stay up and hopefully get Champions League.
It was an injury in the 10th minute, and that's why Aronson came in for the guy that got injured.
Damn, never mind. Let's squash that.
He didn't even start.
BMR says it was a B team.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why anybody be waxing themselves silly or waxing their dolphin about the Conference League. I just...
Well, I mean, if you're a team like Aberdeen, I mean, that might be your path to glory at that point.
Yeah, for them, I guess so.
Yeah, but if you're Frankfurt's going, what the fuck am I doing here? What?
Well, let me ask you this: who won Conference League last year?
I don't know.
Exactly. No one knows unless their team won it. Nobody knows.
Or lost in the finals.
Right. Nobody knows. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
All right. Actual topic.
Did you have any more midweeks you want to go over before we do the topic?
There wasn't a whole lot. We went over Reyna. Pulisic got
PSV
a goal.
too. Yeah.
Musa did his normal job, 180 or somewhere around there. But they lost. And then we already talked about Tillman, Pepe, and Dest. Brendan Aronson went 10 and a loss midweek. Duane Holmes went 74, 2 assists in a win for Preston North End, which
Maybe
they needed.
Called in.
They needed that win bad. Gooch went 90 in a tie. Yep.
All right.
All right. Normal.
You already mentioned Duane Holmes. Let's talk. This is our Blackballed players of U.S. soccer and Gregg Berhalter.
Right. And if you haven't caught this before, or if you've been here before, you might have heard some of these already. But we will start with Duane Holmes because he is playing so much. He is playing a lot and playing well for Preston North End. Have you heard him mentioned by Berhalter at all?
Well, yeah. Prior to playing for PNE, he was some of the teams he was playing prior. He was still playing well enough in the championship.
Huddersfield.
I mean, we're looking at Sargent. We looked at. I'm sure when DK is back and healthy, we might consider looking at him. And we look at Haji. Maybe it's just a striker thing. Why are we looking at midfielders in championship?
Well, he's not a midfielder. He's a winger.
Oh, there we go. Look at that.
So he's been playing as a winger for Preston North End almost all season long. So you have to ask yourself, all right, we got all these injuries out in the wing, and yet he wasn't even brought up. He wasn't even sniffed. We brought Aronson in, who's playing like dog shit, and we brought a guy who's playing really well for his club team, but has had a hard time, doing great at Club America. Yeah. Right? But no discussion about Duane Holmes.
And I doing the thumbnail I did, I'm like, I'm curious because I have this memory of really liking
his one appearance,
his one window that he played for us.
Yeah,
I'm like sitting there going like, maybe it was just me. Maybe I have like rose tinted glasses, a non-jaded memory of a player. So maybe it was just me. I went back and looked at some articles. No, I mean all the articles like, he Holmes impresses on his debut, and it was just like, oh, fuck.
Right. And he's one of the best players for Preston North End. And Preston North End are near the top of the table. They're not at the top of the table, but they're near it. Yes, they started off on fire. They've been dropping, but now they seem to have recovered, and they're on their way the other direction. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on that. But, I mean, the next time you're short on wingers, Duane Holmes in the discussion, well, it ain't going to happen, folks.
No.
I hate to tell you this. And we brought this up, and when we had Brian Schroeder on the show, he related an instance where I believe he was on the sidelines as one of the journalists were allowed to attend the practice, and he and Berhalter got into it, something fierce, big time argument, Duane Holmes and Berhalter, and supposedly that was it. That was going to be the last window he ever got to play. So even if a bunch of wingers go down, I would expect a less than perfect Taylor Booth right now, not in his best form, before even
bringing his brother beforehand.
Yeah, before Duane Holmes. I think Duane Holmes is one of the players that is, in fact, banned.
And yeah, Jack brings it up too. He goes, Guti is more likely to get time than Holmes. And I was actually thinking that they would even go down into MLS to find a U23 player that would probably they'd call in before they ever bother with Holmes.
Those massive lists that we send out of the 50 players or 53 players in the pool.
Yeah, for the preliminaries.
Yeah. I don't remember ever seeing Holmes' name on there.
No.
Even when you were taking 53 fucking players, he's not
on
it.
Nobody even brought him up after that window.
I know. It's like he faded into obscurity.
It's almost as if there was like some effort to not, because you have the window where he's played well, and he goes back to his club, and he has some off games. Sure, he has some good games too, and you're just sitting there going like, not one journalist said, "Hey, Gregg, why aren't we bringing in? Why are we continuing to bring him this player instead? Why don't we bring this player back in? You know?
Yeah,
what's happening here?
Well, we know what happened, and we know what happens when you cross Gregg. And of course, the ultimate crosser of Gregg was John Brooks.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that is the thing about Holmes. You're correct, Fumar.
Yeah,
he's had.
Is what he said.
He's had. Yeah, it isn't isolated at all. Holmes has had that problem everywhere he's been, except for Huddersfield. He had that problem at Derby. He had the problem with Gregg. He's had that problem with other former managers. He is a
best case.
Ornery character. He doesn't suffer fools.
Speak my mind. No F's given.
He doesn't suffer fools. But let me tell you what. If your manager is your fool, you've got to suffer fools. That's how it works. You aren't the boss of your manager's the boss of you. So that's when you do have to suffer fools. And it's kind of like Oda Sowie. Same thing. Refused to play center back or doesn't want to play defense. Well, Gregg said, well, then fuck off.
Yeah.
And
that's what we don't need. We don't need midfielders. Sorry.
Right. Club Brugge said, well, then go fuck off. And he doesn't even get to play with Club Brugge's 2 team anymore.
They're just it up, you know.
They're paying that guy for doing nothing but sitting in his apartment. It's unbelievable.
I wonder how much of that is that Oda Sowie was like, no, I'm not going to move anywhere. You can't trade. I don't want to accept a trade. So I'll continue running on my contract.
Well, the funny thing is, he ended up playing the first game of the season for Brugge because they had injuries at center back. They yanked him with like 20 to go. He's never played a game since.
Yeah.
So there you go. So Brooks, I don't even know if we need to get into this anymore about John Brooks. We all know why John Brooks is banished. It is the Honduras incident. If you haven't heard, we had Meg on the show. She was covering the team live at the time. She wouldn't give us any of the details, but yes, she clearly let us know there was something wrong going on between Berhalter and John Brooks during that window. Something very bad, especially after the Honduras game. Mm-hmm. And then we heard rumors later that when John Brooks was yanked at halftime during the Honduras game, he threw a fucking ever-living fit in front of the whole team, was really upset about being yanked. He didn't feel it was his fault. He felt he had to step up for that goal that happened. And yes, unfortunately, the ball rolled on through and the Honduras scored. And but he didn't feel like he was the problem. And then there was something about a toss.
Stupid fucking formation was the problem.
That's part of the problem. And then, something about a tossed shoe, something being tossed in the locker room, not good. And especially since John Brooks in many ways had taken up a leadership role in the sense he was one of the most capped players at that time on the team and one of the older players. And so naturally he felt he should be a leader. Him being yanked, he took very personally. And since then, we'll never see John Brooks. Listen, he finally got some lip service from BJ. He got some lip service from Gregg, but that's all he's going to get. That's it. Lip service. He's never going to have a full stroke. He's not coming back. Matt Miazga. We were right about that one. We called that one as well. Matt Miazga finally came out and said, yes.
Yes, I kicked his dog. Oh, no.
No. He said we didn't see eye to eye. Remember when he all of a sudden had to go to a wedding?
Yeah. Just all of a sudden gone and then never called back up again.
Right. And I said, no, there's something else going on there. Something else going on there. And I was right because Matt Miazga said, yeah, we did not see eye to eye. And because the wedding was like a week later, like he still could have played the fucking next game and got to his wedding, right? As far as I remember. And that's what I was saying. It's like, well, the wedding's not for like it's like a couple weeks or a week away. He could play the next game and still make the wedding. Well, something else happened. Who was the back four versus Honduras with Brooks? I don't even I don't remember. It's a good question. Miles Robinson, Adams at right back.
Adams at right back. You have Robinson, Brooks, and McKenzie.
Well,
and then in front of them you have Bello, Sands, and Acosta.
This is not correct. McKenzie, Brooks, and Robinson played 3 center backs. Bello played left wing back. Adams played right wing back. Sands and Acosta were 2 holding mids with Sargent, Pulisic, and Pepe up top.
I thought, if I recall correctly, I thought Bello and Sands did play in front of them, though.
Nope. Bello was a left wing back. I mean, it would be nuts to play Bello as a central defensive midfielder. He's never played that position in his life. You would have to go to US Soccer Way to get this right.
Yeah.
This is what? Google?
Yeah.
They're fucked. They're fucked in the head. They get every fucking formation wrong.
Let's take a few seconds here and just take a look at this. Yes, sir.
All right. While you're doing that, I'm going to mention a couple others that will be banned. And not for any real particular reason, except for Gregg doesn't value their contributions to their club and the league they play in, and that'd be Julian Green.
Yep.
Julian Green will never play for the United States men's national team again. His time is up. Gregg does not value Bundesliga 2. He does not think it's an important enough league. He's not going to be called up. And if Maloney was still in Bundesliga 2, he wouldn't be called up either. And if you were playing at Kaiserslautern and you're scoring a whole lot of goals at center forward, you're not getting called up. It just doesn't matter to him.
Yeah.
Leggett and him did have a little bit of a fallout, and then we never saw Leggett again. What does that? Something some of us celebrated? Yes, some people did celebrate that because they didn't think Leggett belonged on the team in the first place. But yeah, he's gone for good. Matthew Hoppe.
Mm-hmm.
I think Matthew Hoppe would struggle to make the team even if he was playing at Middlesbrough and scoring goals, which he's not done, obviously. So this makes it really easy for Gregg to not even talk about Matthew Hoppe.
Yeah.
But it is weird. When Gregg talks about players that are struggling, he always talks about the same players that need help and need confidence and need to be called up to the national team to gain confidence. And he'll bring in Brendan Aronson. He just called up Paxton Aronson. Maybe Matthew Hoppe needed some help some point along the line, and now it's too late. It's too late now. So, but I can't.
I would still think that if Hoppe came up and played with the A team, that he would still look. I think he'd still look fine. I think you have reminiscence of his Gold Cup performance.
Yeah, I don't know how you get worse than that all of a sudden. But is he banned? That's kind of those players I'm not sure if he's absolutely banned because I think he sucked up to Berhalter pretty hardcore after.
Yeah,
telling him to fuck off. Basically coming off when he was pulled off the game.
And we're talking about, like you said, we're talking about 2 seasons where he practically didn't play. So I mean, it's if even if he was being blackballed, Berhalter's all the right in the world to say, "Nah, I'm not calling him up. He's not doing shit."
Right. So he doesn't need to make excuses for that because it's not necessary. All right. So anybody else out in the chat wondering about anybody other players? I think that's all of them for the most part.
Yeah, I mean the fall off with Areola was pretty fast. Not saying that he's in the contender now by any means, but he was a constant player, even fighting for that spot against Weah for a while, and then all of a sudden World Cup comes around and he's not brought in and completely dropped off.
Yeah, I think that was just a choice. I think they love Areola. I think they love Morris. I think they love Roldan. I think the pressure is to this point after BJ and Hudson took over was just too great when BJ and Hudson were calling up rosters we all wanted to see, and they were celebrated for doing it. Berhalter can't come back and revert back to doing the same old shit he was doing before BJ and Hudson gets there. Yeah.
Did you bring up Cannon?
That could be a problem if Cannon continues to play well for QPR and they pull themselves out of the bottom. of the championship.
I just imagine after Berhalter, that interview he had, as far as not being included in the World Cup, I feel like that had to have burned bridges there.
You would think, but then you would kind of think the same thing about Scally and Pepe. But what Cannon said, what did it cross
Luca De La Torre?
Yeah, or Luca De La Torre. When do you cross the line with Gregg? And I think the crossing the line with Gregg usually is a face-to-face confrontation. And that's what happened to Brooks. That's what happened to Miazga. Those were face-to-face confrontations and disagreements. Gregg doesn't like that.
Well, and again, Berhalter has the excuse because he wasn't playing for a while there. Now he is playing with QPR some. And now Berhalter has options. His options are right back.
Oh, yeah. We don't even need
he's
Cannon.
sitting there, he just makes that, I like who we got right now. So that's all he has to say, even if there is something there.
Reggie Cannon, I mean, he'd have to find his way onto a Premier League team at this point to take out Scally and Dest.
Yeah.
You know, I don't care how great he plays at QPR. But we're bringing Jones in as our third option at right back. Yeah.
I mean,
you're talking Gold Cup maybe,
which will never happen given where he's playing. He'll never be able to play for a Gold Cup.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't think Reggie Cannon's in a discussion. So right now, there's no way to tell he's getting screwed because he kind of screwed himself with his club situation at Boa Vista.
You can still state the player is blackballed, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about him. He might be, but it wasn't. It wasn't a face-to-face. It's the face-to-face things with Gregg, like with Duane Holmes. That was a face-to-face. Matt Miazga, that was a face-to-face. John Brooks, that was an in-your-face. So yeah, that gets you canceled pretty much. But I don't know about press.
I just pulled up the championship just to take a look where they are. Obviously, they're in 22nd. But, I mean, one win could catapult them up like a couple of spots. But what threw me for a loop there is that Ipswich has caught up to Leicester.
Ipswich is in first. Or did Leicester take first back again?
Leicester took first back. They're at 1 point right now.
I mean, if you would have told me Ipswich was going to be second in the guaranteed promotion zone, I would have been, are you kidding me? Really?
Had a couple of losses there, yeah.
So,
I recall Leicester having a bigger lead up until now, but yeah, they're right there.
Yeah, Ipswich just winning. They're just winning right now. Mm-hmm. I couldn't name a single player on Ipswich. Not a single one. I don't know. I don't think that their games have really been on ESPN Plus either. So, or wherever those.
Would never look for. Do we have a reason to look for Ipswich?
We don't. We have no reason to look for
Didn't we have a player that was there at one point?
No.
I don't know why I remember that name so much then.
I don't know either.
Oh, well, doesn't matter. Who cares?
We've never had a player there.
Who fucking cares?
I mean, unless I don't know about one, but it would have been something sneaky back when they were even lower divisions. Yeah. Maybe an American player played there. So
wait for the chat to come in. Bmar, where you at?
Yeah.
Be like, nobody was there.
I think we're done for the night, though, folks.
Yeah. Bmar says, because it's fun to say.
It's Ipswich. Ipswich. Yeah. Yeah.
The more you say it, the weirder it's going to sound, too.
Like Worcestershire. Leicester. All right. Thanks for everybody who came out to make sure you like and subscribe. Share it with your grandma as usual. Also, let you know that your stepsister, let her know the show is out. She can catch it later when she's done taking a bath and rubbing your feet. And we will be back on Monday. Let's hope we have a great weekend. Striker Mike Hunt is from Oregon and at Ipswich. I bet he is angry, Vet. I bet he is. As a teacher, I've heard that many times. All right. I love it when the guys would come in. They're like, hey, do you know if Michael Hunt is in this class? I'd be like, no, I don't think he is. I don't believe Mr. Hunt
is here.
Mike Hunt? He hasn't been in this class today? No, there is no student named Mike Hunt in this class. Okay, man, just checking.
You are, in fact, a cunt.
But, that's how kids try to get away with saying dirty words in class. And you know what? Since I was one of those kids when I went to high school, I just laughed along with it. Matthew Healy was at Ipswich. Matthew Healy. No shit. That's
The
news
power
to me.
of Google.
God, BMR. I hope that you Googled that.
American soccer players at Ipswich.
If you just knew that, you need to read more books. All right. We'll be back on Monday. Let's hope for a good weekend of play from our players. And until the next time, we'll see you soon. Mwah. We love you.
But she's a trap. She's an unsung novel. Turn a lap and get your whole world dazzled on the line, or a phone call with or without wine.
That hurt.
I'm tuned in like crazy, and I'm pretending like I know what they're doing, and I'm
articulate and intelligent.
Gregg's a bitch. That's all.
I find them